Every day, around the country, hundreds of buildings are being demolished. We get behind the barriers, give you the real story behind bringing things down.
It's going to be unreal, mate.
Too easy.
I like it when a plan goes well.
The demo teams face daily dangers and challenges. Some sites are tricky,
Not everything goes to plan.
others frustrating.
This is going to give us a bit of a headache.
Maybe I'll hard go into the mouth.
How they face those challenges is coming to you on Demolition NZ.
I'm pumped, mate. I'm actually pumped, eh?
In this episode, demolition in the countryside. In Gore, David has some chilling stories.
I like friendly ghosts, like being nice to them.
And final days for an Otara medical centre.
It's like cruise missiles hit the site.
The day started promisingly enough. Demolition at Mount Eden Terrace was going at a good pace. Then,
We're trying to put our 35-ton high reach together. So all we've got to do is put the jaw on. Usually a simple task. Not today. We can't get it to move. It's like it's one solid bit of steel, and when I can feel the vibration coming back through into the machine when he's hitting it. I want to demolish the building. Well, I mean, we really need to get it down today. We're hitting 10 o'clock and we're starting to chew through time. So it's not looking good at this stage. The best thing to do now is send the pin back through, polish that up, and then try and bring it back. I'll punch it right out, eh? Move?
it's slow work. And Dalton isn't confident they can get the jaw attached in time to demolish the house.
I'm gonna go and find that other cracker jaw and bring it in anyway. Okay. Keep working on it. Yeah. Hayden's your operator. Okay, and I'll go and get a pulverizer as well. Fuck this.
So we've got one hole that's pretty good. It's just this one here.
The team's engineer swings into action with his own fix-up. Grind off the burrs so the pin can slide in more easily.
You bang on, mate.
Nice.
Nicely done. I'm just getting the last pin in for the cracker jaw. Just about to shim it up, so we'll be ready to go.
They're starting to fall behind time, but the replacement cracker jaw throws up yet another challenge.
Yep. What do you mean it doesn't fit? What the fuck? What lines are different? It's the wrong fucking size. So my...
Yeah, that's the bit I...
Oh, what the fuck is happening today? Honestly, look at this shit. We need the hose doctor. Call the doctor.
It's just one setback after another, and Dalton's patience has run out.
It's supposed to be started a couple of hours ago, but we haven't even got anywhere near it. Fast as you can get over here, mate. Much appreciated. Yeah, we're a bit stuck.
Dalton's called in the engineer to sort out the fittings, and it's not long before he's fixed the issue. With a noise curfew at 4 o'clock, Dalton's feeling the pressure to make progress on the building.
All right, let's go. On the road, dustbuster on. Close the gates as we go out. We've got an hour and a half. Blowing a hose, but it's to be expected at the rate that we're pulling it down with.
Our old mate was just going to town on it, you know, and I think he must have caught a bit of Rio and he's ripped his hose, so... But it's all right, because we've got it down before 4 o'clock.
Dalton's just beginning to make a dent in the landscape. He'll be hoping for fewer delays if he wants to get the demolition completed on time. In Auckland, an Otara medical centre's seen better days. With a new facility in the works, Union Demolition's been called in to bring it down, with Matt Goddard taking the lead.
We're in the heart of Otara. Never a dull moment out here, so I don't mind being out here. But we just got to keep everyone safe out here, I guess, is the main thing, with how close we are to the road and the footpath. Across this right-hand side here are a couple more of our concerns, in that we've got the laundromat over there and the early childhood centre there. So we're going to go have a word to them now, see if we can get things underway.
With anticipated dust and noise problems for the duration of the demolition, Matt knows it pays to make a good first impression.
We're working next door on the demolition along your back boundary here.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit of dust, noise, vibration, finishing by 4 p.m. though, so we won't be long.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No problem.
Thank you.
Union Demolition has asked Junk Run to come by and pick up anything they can recycle.
The difference between what we do and just general recycling is we actually repurpose and reallocate construction and demolition materials. So instead of just doing the usual recycling, we'll take these materials, they'll go into one of our partnerships and they'll put them back into the community, into social projects, housing projects, things like that. The main thing about recycling as well is that you still have to transport it, you still have to have a process, so there's a lot of, as far as the carbon footprint goes, recycling is really not the solution. Whereas with repurposing, not only are you helping community and people, you're reducing your carbon impact as well.
Pride of the company here, this old thing's actually our backup yard digger. So hopefully it lasts a day and we get the thing done. Concrete must have been cheap in the old days. It's like about that thick. Thought we're going to peel it straight down. Probably better to have this doing this than one of the new ones on here because it's really, really hard on the machines.
The team on site thrive on a bit of hard work.
What I like about demolition is like I get to bash things, smash things and all that, and it's physical, a lot of heavy lifting, like, sort of like this. Good exercise and all that, you don't have to go to the gym. The gym's right here at work, Loading up some scrap, all the leftover window frames and all that you see, on the buildings. We take it back to the yard, clean it up, and take it back to the scrap yard.
With the scrap gone, the next day will be a big one for the ageing digger. Ward Demolition don't just knock down buildings, they blow things up. This time it's 11,000 cubic metres of rock at their quarry.
This is Ward Quarries. It's part of the Ward group, Ward Demolition and that, and we're extracting this grey wacky out of the ground here and crushing it into aggregate for roading and construction. About 50 holes today that we fill with explosives to blast the rock out, downsize it and get it into all these crushers and process it into the different grades that we need.
The holes are planned by an engineer and strategically placed for maximum explosive impact. They take a full day to drill.
We marked the shot out, which has already been done. You can see around the ground you might come across some red clay pigeons. That's where each hole's going to be drilled, and it's quite crucial to stick to the pattern.
With the holes drilled, the boys have called in the experts.
What the boys are doing now is they've gone around and primed the holes first. And now we're putting the emulsion 10 metres deep.
The detonators are put into the holes with an explosive substance made on site.
We introduced two elements to produce these pinhead bubbles, and the more we can produce in the explosive, the better the performance. Emulsion is like a fire. Without oxygen, the fire will die, and the same thing with the explosives or the emulsion. So we're trying to create these millions of little bubbles in the column to help with the gassing. What you're seeing here are the gas bubbles forming in the product. So we're trying to get this down to what we call a 105 in density, because if it goes any lower than that, then the product is buggered. The bubbles expand and will come out at the top of the density cup.
The holes are ready and it's on to the next step.
We've finished loading the shot, or the blast, and now the boys are putting the stemming in the holes to hold the explosive in the hole, and Waldo's putting out the surface delays to tie in each hole, and then we're ready to basically fire the shot.
So we're just going to set up the remote firing device. So he's just armed it and pretty much just got to tape the electric dead onto the dyno. This will shoot that way and set the blast off.
Everyone's well away from the area. It's time for blast off.
3, 2, 1, firing now.
Yeah, so what was flat ground is now a pile. It's because it's been lifted with the explosives and there's air voids in amongst it now, rather than just being solid rock. So we'll have crushers in here in about an hour's time and that'll all be rolling off the conveyor belts, ready to sell.
Plenty of rock to keep Ward Quarries happy for a few weeks, and for prime explosives, it's on to the next job. In the Auckland suburb of Otara, the union team is hoping to make quick work of an outdated medical centre. Boss Matt Goddard has decided that the open site is the perfect place to train a new hire.
About 6 months ago, we lost our company mascot, Frankie. So now I have Frankie Jr., who comes with me every day. Beautiful little dog, Labrador, Ridgeback, and part pit bull. And got a mind of her own. Come on, 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 come on. Definitely got a mind of her own, so training's still in progress, but we'll get there.
Mana's trying to come up with a strategy for the day's demolition. But a wooden floor with no pad underneath is making planning difficult.
So we're going to have to change things, I think, because we don't want you tracking on that, falling down 1/2 metre and then messing all our rubbish up with the soil underneath.
If I go too far forward, I might, and I've got their reach, I'm just going to jerk forward and just straight through the floor. I'm just going to try half track onto this wooden floor and grab their beam that runs straight across. So they kind of frees up this beam to kind of bend that way so I'm able to access in there.
Before this site, 18-year-old Mana's only broken up houses. But Matt's more than happy with his handling of the bigger site.
So I've been really impressed with Mana. He's put some of our 40-year-old operators to shame. He's done a really good job today. He's got his separations, steel, rubbish. I've probably got to tell him how impressed I am, you know. He's done really, really well. We've got a 20-tonner here, so we could get the whole thing down in an hour if we wanted to, but then it would take 2 weeks to clean it all up. So he's cleaning as he goes, which is very hard to find because they all seem to want to smash it down and then deal with the mess later. You can normally tell when they've done that by turning up and it's like cruise missiles hit the site and there's stuff everywhere.
Mana's proving his mettle, but not everyone on the team is leaving a good impression.
You're not that pleased to be at work today. Being a puppy, she chews everything, like literally everything. So yeah, amongst many other things, she's also wrecked her lead. Have to be quite repetitive and quite firm with them, which is a bit hard sometimes. But yeah, slowly getting better. Up, 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 up. Let's go. Sit, 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 sit.
Frankie's proving a bit of a handful on site, and so is Matt's ageing digger.
I reckon we've blown the ram. That's all it can be.
On the City Rail Link project, Dalton's made the jump from the Mount Eden demolition site to the works on the infamous K Road. But Dalton's little brother seems to have gone AWOL.
Just bloody had Tyler not turn up to work, well kind of. Tyler's decided to go to Fiji for the week. I've had to come in and fill in for him for the day until we can find another operator, which is bloody great from Tyler. So luckily he decided not to tell us and just go on his Fiji trip. Okay.
Tyler's tropical trip is a setback Dalton doesn't need. But at least the location's amusing him. Tucked away down the back is what could be called a gentleman's club.
It's a lovely establishment, actually. It's probably one of my more favourite places. Yeah, a few of the boys know about it. I can't say that I know too much about it myself, but I can guarantee you I will do. Find out more information about this place.
With the jokes out of the way, Dalton refocuses on the K-Road demolition.
So this morning we've got Richie bringing over the gas axe. Pretty much we're going to just do some sit cuts. The sit cut is where we're just going to cut through the majority of the steel. Once we've got it sitting there, obviously it's still leaving tabs on it about that much, enough to hold the beam in place so it doesn't fall off and hurt us, but enough for when we tit it with the digger, it'll break and fall down.
Dalton's already made a start on this building and the structural I-beams.
All these broke off sort of first pop, had a little trouble with the second one, sort of started to twist but it broke off eventually. But yeah, just that last beam wouldn't break, so had to leave it up. A small section of this wall may be retaining the neighbouring foundation, so we just got to make sure that we're all nice and clear. So I figured out there's a bit of a height difference, so I'm just going to use my little Hilti measuring stick and just figure out whether our wall's retaining pretty much their garden. If it's retaining it, then I can only bring the wall down so far. Hilti, anyone from Hilti's watching, I should get some sponsorship. $5 meters. 7 meters. With 2 meters, 2 meters looks fucking huge. Not a lot we can do about that. Also, it's probably about 2-3 meters of wall that we actually need to try and sort of manage to bring in. So we should be able to just quietly pull that down to a nice safe height. May lose a few little bricks over because of the way we're gonna have to pull it down, but you know what, fuck it, no one's perfect, so we'll pick them out of their garden, we'll give it a God sweep, and no one will even know we've been there.
Dalton's finished with planning. Now he's got the place sized up. Next time it'll be crash and bash. Down south, Demolition World plan to truck out materials and tidy up as they finish off at the Gore District Council.
Cutting up a few windows and knocking out a few walls. We've pretty much done the bulk of it, but we still try and do things the easy way, as long as it's a safe way. I said, here goes old passionate fingers. Don't break the glass. He doesn't do a fucking thing I tell him, does he? Yeah, we want it inside. Bring it inside. Or outside. Just whatever you want. All I can do is shake my head.
David gives up on trying to direct son Luke and heads to the outside demo to help load the truck.
This is a bit like having sex. Every time you go in, you don't know what the outcome's going to be.
I don't know how he has sex, but I sure as hell don't do it like that.
With not much left to do, the day promises to be a short one, and an early lunch is in order.
Well, me and David started off together 35 years ago, wasn't it? 40 years ago?
I can't remember last week. And the only reason I give him a job because I felt sorry for him because he was dating my sister. I thought, you got to be bloody stupid to bloody be going there.
David quite often spins a yarn on site, and he's got a spooky one this time.
It was when we pulled the Strathern Inn down in Invercargill, and it was known to be haunted by the ghost of a woman called Nellie that got murdered. When we pulled it to bits, I told Nellie to get in the truck and come home with me because I've got a great place for you to come and live at. And funny thing is, she just come home, and the ghost of Nellie is at our home. And I haven't got a problem with that. I like friendly ghosts, like being nice to them.
Much of what's recovered will end up at Demolition World in Invercargill. It's where David and wife Lee store a lot of recycled treasures from demolition sites. And it's full of haunting memories.
There was always talk about ghosts at Lawn Hospital. I too was on site as well, and one day it was a beautiful day and the truck horn was beeping. And I was just about to tell our son to stop doing it, but no one was near the truck. Sort of scratched the head, and then on their way home, the horn started beeping again as they were driving. That night, David went in the shower, and he came out and he was like scratching his head. He says, there was a shadow in the shower, in the bathroom. I said, oh, it must be the ghost. And that early morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, we actually had a mirror on our wall. The nail was still in the wall, but the mirror had smashed in the bar and the wire was still attached to this picture. And I thought, right, if you're here, you're okay, but don't scare the shit out of us. And we left it at that.
Sometimes feel the presence of these spirits or these ghosts, and they're very friendly. They love living there. I've seen them out of the corner of my eye. There's nothing spooky about it.
Hopefully, the only thing David will be taking home from this site is memorabilia. Every day, around the country, hundreds of buildings are being demolished. We get behind the barriers, give you the real story behind bringing things down.
It's gonna be unreal, mate.
Too easy.
Boom far.
I like it when a plan goes well.
That was awesome!
The demo teams face daily dangers and challenges. Some sites are tricky.
Not everything goes to plan.
Others, frustrating.
This is going to give us a bit of a headache.
Let the old heart go into the mouth.
How they face those challenges is coming to you on Demolition NZ.
I'm pumped, mate. I'm actually pumped, eh?
In this episode, dangers at a fire-damaged demolition, the City Rail Link project is in full swing, and a demolished roof rains rats.
Never really had that issue before of a whole lot of rats and mice.
A big day's wrecking is coming up at the old medical centre in Otara. But Mana's about to find out that commercial buildings can be a bit trickier than plain old houses.
I've gone again, tug on this beam, and it seems that it's very well welded to the concrete wall and it's starting to pull it in. So I just stopped tugging on it, and I just suggested that to Matt, suggested to our spotter to tell Matt might be safer just to cut it before we snap it off. I'm just very worried about pulling it in or me pulling on the beam and it just makes the wall go the other way. It's just a lot of things could happen. The other building's like maybe 2 meters away from us, so it's very close and the wall's pretty high, so it might do a bit of damage.
We're going to try and leave the I-beam in place, make sure he doesn't get too close to the wall or to the beam, and grab the hanging timber feet on the far side and try and bring it all back in one go into this side.
No matter, Mana's come up with his own strategy.
So Mana was able to get the beam out from attacking the bottom of the column over there. So instead of pulling on the beam, he pulled out the underside of the column, which brought the beam down with it without stressing on the back block wall. So it's down now and he can keep moving through that way along the footprint of the building right to the end.
The demolition's going well, but the digger's starting to show signs of age.
Is it like creeping, Mana? Like moving on its own?
Yeah, like I'll try like it'll go up fully and then it'll just start dropping down by itself. And
okay.
I go try and lift back up again like that.
Yeah.
It will barely, like it will just go slow as and that's on half.
It might have been excess force on that beam. Hard work for the old machine on that beam. But then I like to use this one because it's the strongest ram. You get the most power out of it.
Yeah, I was trying to just
bend it over, eh?
Bend it and
But yeah, it seems to bend a bit, and not actually come out.
Breaking up the old medical centre has led to the old digger needing a bit of first aid itself.
They reckon 25 years before it come to the dealer in Taupo, and then we bought it off them 5 or 6 years ago. So it'd have to be 30. Has to be 30 years, which is done 12 years before you're even born. So we'll probably get another 30 years out of it, I reckon, easily. No, it'll keep going till it drops dead, then cut up for parts. I reckon we've blown the ram. I'm not a mechanic, but that's all it can be. When you pull it back around, there's no ability for it to stay there. It just falls back down with gravity on its own. So to me, that means the ram's gone.
It turns out to be a serious diagnosis. With no pressure powering the hydraulic ram, it's time for Plan B.
Hey Matt,
Evander, that Hyundai 20-tonner at Taurus, is that still there or on the way back to the yard?
We're supposed to be getting picked up at 2 o'clock.
Okay, do you want to get OTS to redirect it to Beds Road? The Hitachi's had had a issue down here.
There's nothing to do except wait until its replacement is delivered tomorrow. Just along from Mercury Plaza on the City Rail Link site, Dalton's dealing with a building full of metal, and he's taking no shortcuts.
I'm just leaving little tabs on it so the beam doesn't fall down. We want the digger to pull the beam down, not us. So we don't want to be anywhere near it when it comes down. This wall here, we've got a column that we've obviously I've wailed on it. We've broken a bit of concrete out, so we need to be a little bit more careful. So I'm going to leave a little bit more, give the little digger a little bit more work to do, but just playing it a little bit more on the safe side. So last thing we want to do is have the wall fall down on us. So we're going to go ahead and cut this, and then pretty much we're ready to go to pull the wall down. All right, let's not catch this digger on fire. Got a lighter?
While they're cutting up and taking away metal from the site, in future there'll be plenty of new metal here. It's part of the new K Road railway station, a big new staging point as part of the massive City Rail Link project developing underground rail in Auckland.
Bit of a red light district, so hopefully we're not going to be interrupting anyone when we pull our wall over, but ready or not, here we come. A little bit of an adrenaline rush. How you can sort of flick through the wall so quickly, and actually because I can't get the shear in there, I'm probably going to eat the wall until I find the end of the rebar, as opposed to pulling. So because I'm sitting underneath this wall obviously, and if I pull on it too hard it's going to come down on top of me, and it's coming into summer, you know, I don't really fancy fucking sitting underneath a wall.
Fair enough. And with the large wall free of the supporting structure, it's time for Dalton's favourite part of the job. Next to go will be an eating spot favoured by the country's rich and famous sports people. After difficulties with the old digger at the medical centre demolition in Otara, the replacements arrived and the crew can get back to work.
And now we've got our new yellow 20-tonner over there, and we're going to have Noi on the hose keeping our dust down.
Yeah, I'm on the hose. I'm gonna keep the dust down to keep the neighbours happy today, because it's a bit windy out today.
Hitting our building from the side, separating all the steel, alley, copper. And once I've got into our wooden floor in there, I'm gonna go from the side and just try smash down and get out what I can, separate what I can while I can.
Matt is off site sorting out repairs, leaving the boys to their own devices.
Cheers for smuggler! Katie Pie! Getting us cheers for smoking! We can't bust down our chairs too. Where are we gonna sit?
Underneath the floor, there's an unexpected find.
It looks like we found air compressor that must have been for the dental clinic for the tools or whatever they use for the surgeries on people. And yeah, we're just gonna see if we can pull it out and have a look at it and see if it's worth anything.
The boys need to demolish the floor to get the air compressor out. If Matt was there, he might have recommended hand demolition.
See if you can lift it out, see if your pippies are strong enough. Don't fight yourself. Don't fight yourself out.
Thank you up north, and thank you, hey Bailey. People want to cry when they come to the dentist.
When Matt arrives back, he's surprised to see how much Mana has completed.
Get this tidied up here, and I'm quite keen to check out this this raised floor in the corner here. See how that all fits together, which will depend on how we work forward on the concrete foundations and the footings under there.
What Matt finds is a real head scratcher.
So I think the tyre place has been getting free storage for how many years?
This must have been like a part of an old building or something, eh? It's not a part of their building. It looks like they just cut a hole and just started using it.
I think this was the old car park, and this car park went through underneath. And then they just extended the building over the car park out to here. But then they lost the space, and the neighbours, I guess, took over the space. The big thing now is just making sure there's no connections on the outside of here, so we can pull this safely in without grabbing onto the neighbours' buildings or attachments. So we're going to have to do some investigations, Mana, like probably from their side. We'll have to walk down and make sure it's all safe.
While Matt is working out whether the wall is connected to a neighbour's building, the project manager's been alerted to a rodent problem.
It sounds like London, burning kind of thing.
Yeah, okay. Did she say a lot of them, or what did she say?
Mercury Plaza is an iconic food court near K Road and a favourite haunt of the All Blacks and Warriors. Last orders have been taken at its eateries. The plaza's about to be demolished, so the new K Road station can be built in its place.
Saraf will be on the digger today, and yeah, he's going to start from down there, work our way back this way, hoping it'll be down by Smoko. He's going to go for a walk through, make sure no one's in there. Yeah, I'm just checking all the little corners, because this morning there was some people in there sleeping. Yeah, this is where people used to come and eat. I wouldn't eat here myself, but from what I've seen, it's pretty filthy in here. Looks pretty clear, good to go. Do a bit of a clean up, get the rubble, so you don't want to mix it with the rubbish, and then we're going to go down the middle here, we're going to pull this whole building down, mate. Coming down better than I expected. What happens when Saraf's on the digger? Just going to pull this whole front over. Going to leave the last bay, do our separation cuts. My books, yeah, he's real good on the digger, eh? 10 out of 10. What about the rest of your team? Yeah, they go right sometimes. Still half asleep. Now Saraf's going to come through this part of the building, and hopefully nothing falls on the road. Going to have a couple of spotters on the road. Dust buster there for dust suppression, so should be good.
Ward have found a key worker in red who's a demolisher with focus.
Smash buildings. Just keep smashing buildings. Smash, smash, smash. Smash down the buildings. And then see what they build next, so we can smash that down later. Now this beam, it's connected to that, and that's connected to that back wall. So we don't want to pull it. It might weaken the roof. So we're going to cut it here, clean this inside, and then carry on.
Gas cutting is a vital but hazardous part of demolition.
Very flammable. So if it's not airtight and there's leaks, any spark that hits this and LPG comes out, it's not going to be a very pretty sight.
The breather in the demolition gives the boys a chance to do a little tidying up.
Ben, put it back into it, boy. Put a bit of effort into it. Your section. 95% finish here. Saraf just needs to pull over this last little bit. We're going to start cleaning up, ready for load out. Other than that, Mercury Plaza's done. Didn't take long, did it? It's pretty much gone.
With the plaza done and dusted, the All Blacks and Warriors will have to find a new favourite eatery in Auckland. At the medical centre in Auckland, Matt's just received a call about a massive vermin infestation in the building.
They're not happy because they're concerned that they're going to migrate.
Yes.
And they want us to, or they want, some compensation to purchase rat traps and what have you.
I never really had that issue before of a whole lot of rats and mice running away from this building to the neighbours. Sounds like something out of the out of a movie or something.
It does. It sounds like London, burning kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Did she say a lot of them, or what did she say?
She said an enormous amount of rats and mice.
As the digger pulls away the last section of the building, the rats who'd made the roof space their home had nowhere to go but down and scattered around the neighbourhood.
Something like out of Armageddon. It's terrifying. A whole lot of rats pouring out of the roof. I thought they were going to come from under the floor, but they were up high and all raining down onto the far side here. So yeah, never seen that before or come across that on any of our jobs previously. We're going to put some poison down over the next few days. That's all we can do. I mean, we can't control where they go, so we'll get the poison down, get it spread out, and by that time our job will be done, so we're off to the next one anyway.
It seems the rats have already escaped, so now Matt and the team are back to scratching their heads about the boundary wall issue.
I think we're going to watch closely and get mana into it, nice and slowly, carefully, and it should come away okay.
Matt's got some training tips for mana.
Yep, stop there, mana. So you really got to be side on, like 90 degrees, and then getting your teeth literally in like here. And as you pull it back, you don't go around like that and hit it. You just sort of come down and out. But if you take this away first, and then we'll just go just gently moving along. There's they're only the little blocks, so they come away easy.
It's about a finger width apart, so it's a bit tricky, but getting there slowly but surely.
If there's any rats still left there up above the ceiling cavity, this is where they'll be raining out from, down in here.
Lucky for them, the remaining rats have all been scared away by the demolition, and the last part of the building comes down without a hitch.
So we're coming up to the end of things now over here at Beds Road. The guys have done pretty well. We've had all the normal issues such as neighbours and trucks and noise and stuff, and a few other interesting ones like rats. The guys have done well. Izzy and Noi good on the ground, and been really impressed with mana as an 18-year-old in the digger. A few little things to tidy up, then it's out of here and on to the next one.
Despite some unexpected challenges, the building's down safely and on schedule. The sound of demolition is about to disturb the quiet, rural Canterbury village of Kirwee. Coming down is the well-loved local tavern.
A really sad moment for the town. It's like any New Zealand country town. It's got a big pub on the corner of the main road. It was burnt down on Christmas Eve last year, and it's taken this long to get the insurance settled. We're here today to sort it out for the locals and help them move on with a new bar. In a normal demolition, when you demolish a building, you're using the structural elements of the building to support the parts of the building that you haven't already demolished. And in this case, all the floor, the bottom floor, and all the structural parts of the building are already been burned out. So our operator Joe here is one of the best in the business, and he's got to pick his way through selectively and try and retain some strength in the parts of the building that are still left standing.
The pub was a focal point for Kirwee. Its loss leaving a hole in the community.
Pub was built 1874. All the timber was brought from Oxford. It was barged down the Waimak River and then brought up on horse and cart, all hand-built. At home in bed, got the phone call and people knocking on the door to say the pub was on fire. Went out to the front and yeah, there was flames coming out of the roof. Within 20 minutes, she was gone.
Fire-damaged buildings are dangerous because they're so unstable. Usually the problem comes from above with falling debris, but not in this case.
I don't know what the fuck is in there. Joe, Yeah, it's just a wee hole. If you can go forward a bit more and then slow round and push down here and pull yourself out.
Getting the 30-ton machine out of a hole requires a bit of skill.
She's all good.
What happened? Tell me.
Nothing happened. It's all part of the plan. There was just a small cellar under the kitchen that was no one obviously knew about, so he just put one corner of his track in there, and obviously due to his skills he's able to get it out, and we can carry on. What we'll do is we'll just fill that small hole full of rubbish, and then he's safe to sit in there again.
The weakened structure comes down easily and in record time.
Taking all the load off the top floor of all the burnt materials from the top story of the building. And then what he'll do is put his bucket through the floor of the building and then pull the whole building backwards and into the site. So he's going to reach right over as far as he can, and he's going to pull the whole thing back.
Steve's hopeful he'll find a few treasures amongst the rubble.
Oh, I'll have a look through tomorrow. Yeah, get the boys in tomorrow. We'll have a couple of drinks tonight for her, and that'll be it.
146 years of hotel history, all brought down in just a morning. Every day, around the country, hundreds of buildings are being demolished. We get behind the barriers, give you the real story behind bringing things down.
It's gonna be unreal, mate.
Too easy.
I like it when a plan goes well.
The demo teams face daily dangers and challenges. Some sites are tricky.
Not everything goes to plan.
Others frustrating.
This is going to give us a bit of a headache.
My deal hard go into the mouth.
How they face those challenges is coming to you on Demolition NZ.
I'm pumped, mate. I'm actually pumped, eh?
In this episode, an ageing fire station comes crashing down. Mining, West Coast style.
2, 1, firing now.
And an old house saved from demolition. The Christchurch Central Fire Station is on its way out. Part of a $50 million fire and emergency rebuild across the city. Today, Kane does his prep work for the first brick section.
Worked for Froze for the last 20 years, doing demolition primarily. And yeah, I just love my job. I hate cleaning it up though. Separating the old scrap.
Everything's down the plan.
Always. Even when it doesn't, you don't admit it. As long as it stays inside the fence, everything went well. There's another wall on the other side of this one, and then basically take all that out, chew out all the roof, but try and leave the side walls up, just to, again, support.
The demolition crew usually do their own dust suppression. In this case, the building's supplying it.
Helped out with the dust for a wee bit, that's for sure. It's good. Good swimming pool.
The first few rooms of the old fire station have been knocked down, and there's plenty more to do.
Let's punch this wall into the staircase. Well, I hope. Try and take it out in sections. Try and minimise the dust that gets created. Yeah. Skylight. It's hard sometimes. You've got to always be conscious of your hydraulic lines. rip one of those off, you're pretty much screwed for a bit, and they're not cheap.
Carney's not on his own for long.
Oh yeah, this is Jeff, he's our demolition manager. Desperate times, he's on the tools, mate.
I'm basically his brush and shovel. He makes a mess and I clean it up, pretty much, so Carney can progress forward through the job.
Carney and Jeff have worked as a two-man team for a long time, and their experience shows.
Hopefully, well, I think we just trust each other in what we're doing. You know,
20 years of working together, you get to know somebody.
Have a fair idea of what he's wanting to do, and he has a fair idea of what I'm,
trying to achieve.
It's just a collaboration at the end of the day, and it's good because I don't have to deal with the real big stuff. He just grabs it, pulls it out of the way, stockpiles it.
Just working our way forward, building a bed basically of concrete to sit on. At this stage, it's all about really preparation for the front of the building, which is obviously the most critical part. The last thing we want is the front of the building to tip out onto the street or go the wrong way, basically. Hiding us away around the back, you're limiting the amount of dust that can flow out onto the street or into the atmosphere. It's a controlled environment that we're working in, so we can control the water, control the dust and control the sediment that's actually running out off the site, or we don't want that to run off the site. So.
The boys have made a good start, but will their prep work pay off when it comes to take down the next bit of the building? It's a delicate time at the City Rail Link demolition in Mount Eden. The team are testing their skills on a very tricky operation.
We're removing those two panels, which we need to lift out carefully with the crane, just because it's sitting on top of a substation that powers the whole of this area. So we just need to carefully remove that with a crane instead of demoing it with a digger.
It's a military-style operation, and Richie's keen not to waste a second.
Hopefully they're going to be able to lift it up, we've cut it clear of everything, and then swing around.
Once the wall is safely chained up, Richie uses the gas cutter to get rid of the remaining supports. A crane carefully lifts the panel away from the substation.
The second panel went like clockwork, blew the bolts, took the props off. They pulled it out nicely. The only thing got left now is the pole, and Dick will take care of that later on when we get one free.
One urgent job is to get rid of an unstable wall before it falls over and crushes the neighbours' cars. Site engineer Jenny's a bit worried about the structural integrity.
Jenny thinks the wall's going to fall over by itself. She's advised us not to lean against the wall. In the drawings, they're that old, it doesn't show how the wall's actually connected to the ground, so they're worried about the wind raging. There's a few engineers out there that are a little bit concerned about it, and that's why they went to university and whatnot and on the big bucks, so we've got to listen to them. So all the cars are heading out, so they're going to have an early day, and they're slowly, one by one, is trickling out. So I imagine they'll take a little while to get out.
The wall they're removing borders a neighbouring office building, as well as an electronic gate that Dalton doesn't want to damage.
So we're going to save the gate by pretty much pulling the wall over in one flat sheet. The idea is it to come down evenly, put as much protection around it as we can, so hopefully we can keep it. Get everybody to cross the fingers. It's not what the landlord wants to hear.
The gate isn't the only technical issue.
I mean, there might be floor level down there, but up there we're looking at the wall height about that high, so it'll be interesting to see where it actually breaks off. Right, Jay, tell us when we can work.
All clear.
Dalton did a good job, and Zoran, as you can see, the wall fell over. No problems, no issues at all.
Yeah, no, we all come down perfectly. Gate's still there. We haven't damaged any of the cables, so boys are just cleaning up. We're just going to give the neighbouring car park a nice sweep up and make it look tidy.
The end's finally in sight for Dalton and his team as they clear the way for the new City Rail Link development. At the Christchurch Central Fire Station, Carney's getting ready to finish stage one of the demolition.
Going to put some gates up, try and stop the public. Then we just have to monitor one corner then.
The facade's coming down, and the crew don't want people anywhere near it.
This wall up here, do a couple of separations in it, and then pull it over. Just that section there, probably the 4 windows.
The team have been working around the back, so the front of the building stops dust from blowing onto the street. Today, they'll be concentrating on bringing down part of the facade.
Yeah, can I start chewing on that front?
Yeah, bud. Go for it. Right, bud. Hit it.
Yeah, good for the kids to watch. Bit of history going down. Everywhere we go, you get an audience. It just seems to be public interest no matter what you do in this industry. So, yeah, it's good for them to see it.
It's a very exciting sight for the young spectators. For Kane, it's just another day on the job.
Fuck, too easy.
Have you done that before?
One or two times. So we're just going to carry on and try and do another section. It's basically the same plan, yeah. 4 windows, just minimises how much is coming over and the weight that's transferring to the ground floor. Yeah, so I got 2 internal walls, bracing walls to do again. Favourite part of the day? Smoke.
Not bad for this guy's first day on the job. Might keep him on.
There's a lot of clean-up to do before tomorrow, when the team starts on the central section of the Christchurch fire station. Blowing things up is every young lad's dream, and here at Stockton Mine, it can happen several times a week. Explosives are volatile. The team needs to be highly trained and the weather just right, though you can do it in the cold.
On the utes this morning it was 1, and then I think the wind chill should have to be -3. Easy.
As well as the cold, this mine is famous for its high-quality industrial coal and its unique challenges.
These boulders are too big for the digger, and so we've had to come back and drill some shallow holes. In the rock you can see there's some markings on there, that's the depth of those holes. This is not a regular blast for us, it's one of the more problematic blasts that we've got. So this rock will end up fragmenting into approximately 1 metre cube blocks, which is more than suitable for an excavator to deal with.
Next challenge. They're planting explosives on top of century-old mine workings that are still burning underneath.
80 years ago, the miners decided, well, bugger this, we're going to go somewhere else where it's not burning, and put this one in the too hard basket. We're trying to get through and do this as safely as we can and efficiently as we can to get as much coal as we can before it burns. The coal that's smouldering down in there is producing these gases, and of course, as we drill into it, we're exposing it.
So if we had a dozen holes with no bags on top of them, then we'd just be fanning this fire that's sitting underneath us, and that's not what we want to do. We want to keep the temperatures below the 100 degrees so we can then load it with the special product for this hot ground blast that we're doing.
Jesse Hogarth's one of the shot firing team, and he's been in the industry for well over a decade.
You've got just a standard detonator, number 8 detonator, and this is our booster. Together they're called a primer. Gets straight in there, back into there, it's got a little safety lock in it, holds that in there, and this is lowered down the hole. And going off our design stuff from the blast engineer, we sort of know what the hole depth is and we can gauge how long the leads we need. It appears I've just got that perfect. That goes to the bottom. Just pull it off the ground a bit so it doesn't get stuck. And normally we have a bag on top. That just needs to have a bit of dirt on there just to hold it there from stopping disappearing down there. Cone on it like that. Now that's primed up, ready to go for the people on the hose to come along and fill it up with bulk explosives. Detonators we've got on the rocks here, they're a different type of detonators than what we see on the ground here. They're called unitronics. They're an electronic detonator. They have a little microchip inside the end of the det that is given a time. It's just like a small computer really. We can time this from 0 to basically infinity, what you like. And all we do is we get this scanner here. It's like a barcode scanner from the supermarket. We just choose our right function, We just scan like a supermarket, and then we can input the time we want, 685 milliseconds, and there we go, it's timed. So that one there is all ready to go.
Once all the explosives are in the holes, the team wires them and double checks everything. You can't be too careful on a site like this.
We download that information onto this box here. Basically after that, all you've got to do here is push A and D, they say fire, hold them down together. The signal then travels along and it lets those little microchips in any of those detonators know I'm ready to fire, let's go. It goes bang.
3, 2, 1, firing now.
Looking at that from up here, mate, it looks pretty good, to be honest. I can't see any of those rocks left. One in the middle's been munted. You can sort of, it's very hard to tell when you come back. Sometimes you get confused about where the actual blast was. It's not too bad. There's some good frag out the front there where it was good competent ground. You can see in here, this is where the blasted stuff was. It's just sort of soaked up all the energy and done its best as can, but that's good. I'm pretty sure the customer will be happy.
The job is wrapped up for the explosives team, but for the mine workers, their task is just beginning. Back at the Christchurch Central Fire Station, crews are getting ready to demolish Section 2, the iconic part of the building that once housed the fire engines and the firefighters' living quarters.
There, Paddy, we're into it. Job number one, what the operator's going to do is effectively chew out that section of the front wall, including the window, which separates the structure that we're trying to demolish from the structure that we're not trying to demolish. That improves the safety and avoids any uncontrolled collapse of a part of the building that we're not trying to get rid of right now. We're on to chewing the legs out now. This is the beginning of the end. In a selective order, not one by one. He'll chew these columns out of the back of the building. It'll be sort of 1, 3, 4, 5. Effectively will collapse the whole entire structure backwards. It's not a fast process, but it's an incredibly safe one, and the whole building will tip backwards basically, and it'll pivot off the front columns, which we don't touch at all. You know, when the building's on the ground, it's much easier to handle process to avoid, you know, working along the street frontage for a long period of time. We just do it in this one quick way. All good, Dave?
Yeah, very good, mate.
He's on the 2nd of 5 now. All of us are watching for any different sort of unusual movement or cracking in the building where we don't want it to crack, but so far so good. Essentially we're using the strength of the front of the building to hold it up while we remove the strength at the back of the building, which will help it collapse.
This method is something of a favourite amongst the Froos crew.
It's a technique we like using. The excavator and the operator can be totally away from the building while he's working, which is extremely safe, and that's what we want. Is that footpath clear, Dave? We're getting quite close.
Yeah, mate. Yep.
You'd be surprised how strong those steel reinforcing rods are. We just need it to hold itself up just for a split second while he breaks out that last column, or number 5. What that does is just gives him time to chew that last column, which he's about to do now. Then it will all come down straight, not twisted. Beautiful. It's exactly how we wanted it to go. So from now we'll just work our way through that big slab of concrete and process it ready for crushing, which then goes back in the ground for part of the new building.
With only the last section of the fire station to go, the Christchurch firefighters have just got one step closer to their brand new building. At Mount Eden, demolition's on hold. Salvage is the order of the day. Specialist house relocators have been called in to remove and rehouse an historic 19th century kauri cottage, identified as being well worth saving.
Try that. Keep your foot close to the brake. You got your foot close to the brake, eh? We'll just lose this out of here now, and then the trailer will
work its way down and around in, and then we can disappear down into the hole. So it's all going all right, sort of. Because we're working downhill, it's a bit harder. If you could get in from up the top, you've got gravity sort of helping you, but we're sort of fighting against it a little bit.
Moving a house is a slow process and will be done over 2 days, with the actual removal planned for the following evening.
The turntable on the truck is pushing and pulling the trailer in and out so that we don't have to be driving, so that it's more controllable, and you can stop at a minute's notice and sort of go down a dip. Yeah, straight wheels now, mate. Straighten right up. In fact, go right a bit, eh? Yeah. Yeah, so it's allowing us to control the trailer going in like 100%. So our next thing is to back it under and make sure that it's supported so that the house is not deflecting too much. Steel beams across, lift the trailer up, hopefully all going well and we get a bit of fine weather and stuff, we'll be able to move it out tomorrow night. Then it heads off to its new site in a little village of other villas down the line a little bit.
For the demolition artists who are used to working in daylight, it's a change of pace.
The running boys are in, just taking out their house, so it's off to Rangiora. We're going to be able to get in there and do our part once they've pulled out. These boys are the experts, they sort of like their leak of the house moving.
This is really good for our sustainability as well, just because we're salvaging the whole house.
It's pretty cool too, because I've never seen a house come out, not out of a section. And it's good to see it's not in a million little pieces like what we'd normally see it in. So,
yeah.
Quite a steep pull up out of there and just making sure that it's going right. We've still got to put the lights and clamps and everything on the building that we need to when we're travelling on the road. So now that we've got it out and it's not way up in the air, we can do all that now. And we've got to negotiate our way out and get over the parked cars that are at the end of the road here, and then we're out and onto Mount Eden Road and head away onto the route that we take through town all the time. So yeah, shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. And quite often encounter a lot of roadworks, and hopefully we're not getting too much of that tonight.
The house is heading to a new home, where eventually it'll be used for accommodation, leaving behind a team well satisfied with their recycling effort. Every day, around the country, hundreds of buildings are being demolished. We get behind the barriers, give you the real story behind bringing things down.
It's going to be unreal, mate.
Too easy. On fire. I like it when a plan goes well.
That was awesome!
The demo teams face daily dangers and challenges. Some sites are tricky.
Not everything goes to plan.
Others frustrating.
Is he going to give us a bit of a headache? Might deal hard go into the mouth.
How they face those challenges is coming to you on Demolition NZ.
I'm pumped, mate. I'm actually pumped, eh?
In this episode, what's in the church time capsule?
So there it is, it's open.
A tight site in the Auckland CBD.
The street gets quite busy around this time, so it's inconvenient to be doing this.
And an inspired job in Palmerston North. Demolishing the St Paul's Methodist Church will have its challenges, especially bringing down the spire, which stands about 6 stories high. But Central Demolition's focus today is far lower. Behind a foundation stone where a local historian believes a time capsule was entombed more than a century ago.
There was a copper capsule that was laid behind the foundation stone, hoping that lots of things have survived, but if they haven't, at least the coins should have survived.
They're confident they know what's in the time capsule. But has it survived the test of time? The time capsule's supposed to be waterproof, but somehow some liquids got inside.
Wait on the inside or the outside?
I think both. I think it's the inside sort of leaking out a bit.
In the hope of preserving these timepieces of Palmerston North history, the time capsule's been taken to Te Manawa Museum. No such preservation for the church though. It has to come down because it's such an earthquake risk.
We've just got to chip away at this roof here, try and get everything to collapse in on itself. At the moment, try and get everything inside the building footprint so it's nice and easy to deal with later on.
Back at the museum, the time capsule's about to reveal its secrets.
So there it is, it's open. So it looks like newspapers, and they're wet and mouldy and horrible looking. Here's the Man 02 standard. June 19, 1911. Here's a coin. This is firmly stuck to the side. I'm going to leave it there. So you can see the note there. So this should go to a paper conservator, and they'll probably flood this with water until the note floats free, and then they can take it out and deal with it.
And the envelope the note once came in provides Detlef with a valuable clue as to how the water got in.
But the envelope's ripped and it's separated. It was on the other side of the container. Because of the solder joint having been destroyed, as it were, except it's just hanging on here, someone got in after hours, opened it up to have a look what's inside, read the note, or thought there was maybe more money inside it, and then stuffed it back together. It certainly didn't happen during demolition, because this is very old damage.
The damaged papers will be packaged up and frozen to keep them stable before further inspection. Back at the site, with heavy demolition starting on the church, the damaged mementos are soon to be all that remains of this chapter of Palmerston North's history. In the Auckland CBD, ward are at the last and trickiest stage as they demolish a multi-storey building. It's potentially dangerous. The area's busy and the neighbouring building is very close.
Today's job is pretty much going to be removing all the floor and beams just around the front and just taking a bit of the height out of it, pull down the front and start prepping to do our back wall.
Dalton has something special in mind for the heavier work.
We've had a pretty good run with the Volvo, so it's his first job that it's been on. It hasn't got a scratch yet, touch wood. Completely amazed and blown away by how comfortable it is and smooth to drive. The cab's got some new technology where the seat rides and rocks with the digger, so the digger will rock but the cab won't. Some of the features that we've got on the computer in it are just things that are just blowing my mind, like how we can switch from different modes and attachments. I think it's going to be quite huge with the fuel economy and whatnot going forward.
Dalton's not the only one excited about the new machine. His father and boss, Peter Ward, has come down to check out how it's running.
You got to drive this.
Scratched it here?
Nah.
Fuck, I don't believe it.
No, no scratches.
Sure.
Yep. This is the first time he's driven his new machine. So we'll all stand here and make fun of him, eh? Don't fucking scratch it! He likes playing on the toys. He says he doesn't, but he loves it.
Peter has his doubts about the new machine.
It's all right, it's pretty. I don't know, it'll just be interesting to see whether it's going to last or not. Got lots of widgets.
Lots of shit to go wrong.
Yeah, lots of things that you need a brain surgeon to repair.
Dalton still has a lot of work to do on the site. With only a small crew there, Peter's happy to lend a hand.
It's good to see I've got my labour in there, spiking away. It's real bad, eh? He hasn't even bought any lunch or anything yet today, so yeah, it's a little bit disappointing.
See this shit here? It's just fibrillite. It's not asbestos, but it is a pain in the arse. If we take it into our sites, it looks like asbestos, but it's not, and it can cause a shit ton of drama that we don't need. Just eating the last bits out, and with the breaking glass and everything, it'll scare people walking past. So we just do a bit, then we hold and do a bit. No, you guys can come down now. Oh, mate. Thank you.
With added time pressure from foot traffic, Dalton calls for the team to get cracking.
Fucking hurry up! I mean, good work, guys.
Now the time capsule's been safely removed from the unstable old Palmerston North Church, the Central Demolition crew are getting down to business and they've got a brand new tool for the job.
This was a 34-tonne Doosan, and we've put all the counterweights on the back and that, and we've got the arm put on and done all that sort of thing with it. So it's all new for us, this sort of thing, getting into the high reach game and that.
And it comes with a steep learning curve.
See how you got to try and judge distance? You think you're just about there, eh?
Just about there, yeah.
Because you've got a camera looking down bird's eye view, just trying to judge the distance with the camera. It's quite tiring. It's a bit different than looking at it by eye, you know.
Judging your distance and everything like that, you know. It's basically it's just two 17-inch monitors inside the digger, so that's all you're looking at.
Operating a high reach is a whole new challenge, but Jordan's years of experience pay off.
I think they come down pretty nicely, and we're just trying to save a bit of this timber up there. At the moment he's just doing it nice and carefully, and he's just going to strip away at the top beams there until we can expose the frame. We like to start at the back and get everything in. That way we leave a wall up at the front so no debris shoots out generally towards the road.
Jordan's keen to give Manu a turn on the new toy.
Oh. I'll get that roof down, then you can nibble that bit if you want. That would be good to learn on.
Yeah, okay, up to you, Vince. Yeah. Sorry? Yep. I've driven 30s and stuff like that, but nothing of this size, so, I mean, it's just a matter of getting in there and having a go, isn't it? Yeah. There we go. Yeah, just come onto the top of it there and just pull her down. She should fold right in, man. Woo!
Do you want to have a blast at the roof?
Yeah, sounds good, Badge. Radio.
Righto. All right. Let's take the time, man. Yeah, man. You'll be all right.
Sweet.
That's us, Badge. Keen for a bit of smoko.
You roger that, mate. We're good, bro?
Yeah, man.
Fuck, that's a whole different game, isn't it?
Go away.
Totally ecstatic about that. I think it went really well, you know, something new for the boys and that. And yeah, just take your time, eh? And just, you know, get in there and do it, you know, see what happens at the end of the day. No, I'm pumped, mate. I'm actually pumped, eh?
Now that Manu's had his go, Badge comes in to finish off the day's work.
Yeah, slow around, slow around, slow around. Beautiful, Jordan, beautiful.
The boys will get a break as a new crew comes in. Their job? Crane off the church spire with its valuable copper. Time pressure's on at Anzac Avenue in the Auckland CBD, but Dalton's not worried. In fact, he's so relaxed, he's letting Jay write out the health and safety briefing for the site.
I'm ready for this. I've been rehearsing this all night.
Come close, come close. Yeah.
Yeah, we need you to listen. So our first step, we're going to set up the work area, pretty much prepare for the demo. We've got some protection we've already taken care of. It's all set up, pretty much just to make sure none of the public that's walking by gets any debris or falling concrete on their shoes. We don't want that happening.
Working so close to the road and footpath, it's vital for the team to get the safety right.
Let's try and time it for times where it's quiet. So if you can see no one up the street, okay, Jay, when Jay says, okay, that's stop. No, knuckles, yeah, but stop.
Yes.
Okay, go, good?
Good.
Stop.
Stop. Stop.
We've chosen to keep the gantry in just for public perception because if there's a whole heap of loose shit above them, obviously it's not going to look very good for one, and two, you could get a gust of wind, something could blow off that we haven't found. Then clean off any loose debris that are in the corner, prep the wall, tip this back wall over, and she's pretty much home and hosed. It's basically down to cutting the rebars, tidying the site, and we're out of here.
Okay, for a couple seconds.
Yeah, you're all clear for like a second. Yeah, stop.
A slow morning has delayed the demolition and causes some problems.
So it's about lunchtime right now. The street gets quite busy around this time, so it's inconvenient to be doing this. It gets kind of annoying because you'll get people who are spaced out just enough that you can't continue working, but there's not a big group of people, so it kind of gets a bit tedious.
Clear, good window. Hold on.
Fuck.
Small window. And never mind.
Yeah, you're gonna have to say stop for a couple seconds.
Whenever we go to do anything on the front of this building, people seem to come out of their buildings and walk up and down all fucking day. Whenever we're not doing anything on the front, you won't see a single human on the street, let alone on a car.
All clear.
Yellow.
Yeah, bud.
The front of the building's down, leaving just one wall nearly touching the neighbouring building. Dalton will need all his skill to bring it down, without crashing back onto his new digger. In Palmerston North, Central Demolition are preparing to crane off a 4-ton spire from the top of an old earthquake-prone church. They're worried about wind.
I'm going to go up at the moment and just assess the weather conditions first, to see what the wind's like. And if we're okay up there, we're going to take the decorative parts off the spire.
The wood inside is full of borer. The spire's being salvaged because of valuable copper.
Well, the risk with the wind will be obviously too much movement in this for us to be able to do the work safely. And then obviously it'll affect whether the lift can be done today or not.
The crew plans to cut the spire from the rest of the church, allowing the crane to lift it off. Once they've made the cuts, the structure will be weakened and they'll be committed to the job. So it's important they test the wind conditions first. It's been more than 100 years since the decorative parts of the spire have been handled by anyone.
It's a bit gusty. I don't know that we'll be doing a lift possibly.
No, I can't control what the wind's doing to the man basket, so it's, all I can do is just hold the boom straight, and it's smacking them against like the roof of the building. So they're holding on and fighting the wind as well, and we're committed now, so we've just got to either, if it gets too bad when they've cut it and it's floating, we'll just have to wait till it drops down and gets calm enough, or, I mean, I don't really want to lift over 10 metres a second, something like that. It'll be like a 4-ton sail.
To remove the spire, first workers in the basket make strategic cuts to the outside while the crane holds it steady. Then some work inside, cutting the centre pole. With that and the key supports removed, the crane can lift the spire away from the rest of the steeple.
Hey there, Ben.
Yeah, mate.
We're on the last cut on the centre pole now. Now, some of the copper's still attached. Do you think there's going to be an issue or not really?
I wouldn't think so, mate. We'll soon find out.
Copy. Thanks, mate.
You all good, Ben? Yeah, roger, mate. Looks good from here.
The spire's safely off, but now there's another challenge.
Yeah, because I don't know how we're going to do this. That's going to break probably, eh? Just watch out, it might break, eh? Just let it go now. It's going to snap. How, if you get the chainsaw and break all those off.
Yeah, he's got to
Like if you walked it forward and just put the boom out to hold it, once we get it sitting there, because we just got to climb up and get the chains unhooked.
Drama, as the chains need to be removed from the spire. However, it's too weak to stand on its own.
Hey Ben, he's just going to try and get the claw around it so it doesn't roll.
A bit more weight.
With the spire safely clamped from above, the chains need to be unhooked from inside so they can be removed. Too weak to support itself, the spire crumbles.
we had to be very careful about how we lifted it down, so it was a matter of making it secure enough to lift off one piece. And you can tell by the way it's just collapsed, it's just full of bore, so yeah, there was nothing worth salvaging out of it except for the copper itself.
With the tricky part of the church down, the rest is plain sailing. Foot traffic is finally easing on Anzac Avenue, where Dalton and his team have been waiting to bring down a tricky wall.
Tonight's the night that we finally get this last wall down. We've been looking at it for a while, wondering how we're going to get it down, but we think we've came up with a good plan. So we got Dalton here. He's cleaning up the site because he's going to have to run away from this wall once he grabs onto it. He's going to pull and track back. He's quite skilled in the digger, so I mean, I wouldn't let many people do that, but considering his skill.
It's an out-of-the-box idea for a wall sitting too close to a neighbouring building to come down easily.
The only concern would be that maybe one of the rocks that slid down the back of the wall punches back if we don't get it on the first pull. So if you've got a wall like that and you've got another wall sitting against it and it'll slap together, you could have a bit of concrete sitting between that and it could push through the cinder block. It's pretty strong. We'll weaken the bottom of it. It'll come in one hit, is what we're hoping.
There's a demolition expert here to help.
Couldn't really tell he owns the company unless you sort of knew him. Because yeah, he comes in and picks everything out of the piles and whatnot. He's always probably the worst dressed at the meetings, and so a bit of a character. So.
Everything's in place, and it's time for one final safety briefing before the big demo.
Everyone needs to be out of the area. Nobody, no exceptions. Very dangerous, not worth it. Good communication. When Dalton gives us the signal, nobody's allowed past, no matter what, whether their leg's broken, nothing.
If a lump of concrete rolls, it'll try and roll your fence out. So that's why we're stopping it. Worst case is a vent will fall over. And that's why we stop everybody.
Dalton and Peter have a family dinner booked, so they're both keen to get this down safely and on schedule.
Peter, starting to die down now. Let's go. I hope that looked cool on camera. Millimetres between the jaw and that wall. Lucky the machine moves fast, eh? Because we were sitting underneath that top little bit of wall, we had to get out of the way of it quite quickly, and I reckon there was probably only 100 mil between that and the jaw.
I like it when a plan goes well. So, very good.
Very good, very pleased with how the Volvo's gone. Real happy with how Jay's coming along. Even though he's Canadian, he's still a human, so we've got to look after him. But other than that, I'm late for dinner, so I get the rock star part of the job where I get to make a mess and fuck off, so yeah, that's real handy.
The site looks like a bomb's hit it. But for tonight, the wall's down, the building's gone, and it's time for dinner.
Be quite cool on a skateboard, eh?
Every day, around the country, hundreds of buildings are being demolished. We get behind the barriers, give you the real story behind bringing things down.
It's going to be unreal, mate.
Too easy.
Boom fire.
I like it when a plan goes well.
That was awesome!
The demo teams face daily dangers and challenges. Some sites are tricky.
Not everything goes to plan.
Others, frustrating.
This is going to give us a bit of a headache. Let the old heart go into the mouth.
How they face those challenges is coming to you on Demolition NZ.
I'm pumped, mate. I'm actually pumped, eh?
In this episode, a notorious Auckland apartment building comes crashing down. An uplifting university demolition.
We'll start making some mess.
And noisemaker AJ faces the music.
It sounded like the world was coming to an end.
It was once world-class state housing, but time's up for a Grays Avenue apartment building. The government's decided the old, cold and vandalised building will come down. and be replaced by flash new social housing.
Down here at Grays Ave, we're just trying to get another bay off this building here. So basically we're in the middle of our bay from yesterday, so aim of the game today is pretty much bring this back down to 2 stories and then take half of the next base.
Its height and proximity of neighbouring buildings is making it a complicated demolition. Ward has to bring in an underused machine.
It's definitely not like anything you ever experience. This machine's an animal, it takes a lot of concentration, and a tiny little move on your joystick is like 5 or 6 metres up in the air, so you've got to be very sensitive with it.
The high reach hasn't been used since the Christchurch earthquakes. With Peter as his teacher, Dalton cut his teeth on the CBD buildings that had to be demolished post-quake. But now he's one of the only digger drivers in the company that can operate the machine, and he's passing on words of wisdom to younger brother Tyler.
I started operating this when I was Tyler's age, or a little bit younger, so I've given him a little play in the machine and he hasn't freaked out too bad, so he did a little bit of lower stuff. So once we get back and start getting more set, then I'll give him a bit of time in the seat and see how he handles it. And we're going to do that with a few of our staff as well, just so we've got a bit more sort of options up our sleeve, say I get sick or something. I mean, Dad can operate the machine, but I don't like Dad dropping my machine. So Dad's a little bit brutal. The chances of coming back and the machine's broken when Dad's on it is very high.
And the high reach won't be the only learning curve on site.
So what I'm up to today is basically sort of overseeing underneath Dalton, taking some of the pressure off him, foreman and training, I suppose.
6 bays to the end. At 6 bays, then we're going to have to put a pad in, so pretty much taking some height out of it and keeping as much structure down low as we can. At the moment, we've got plenty of structure behind us, so basically we're allowed to court it up to a certain point. You could say this is the fun part of the job. This is where it looks nice and scary, and you're looking at an 11-storey building that's just a sheer face. It's an awesome project, and these projects don't come up very often for us, especially not an 11-storey building. You've got to enjoy it a bit as well, so I really enjoy driving this machine.
Extra help's on its way as Ward calls in one of the world's top demolition experts who specialises in difficult high buildings. At Auckland University, Ward is lending a hand with some extreme renovations. The old student cafe and shadows bar are being demolished to make way for a flash new recreation and wellness centre.
The plan this morning is we're just going to rip off these spandrels, get all this stuff off, and then we're just going to start just loading out some rubbish and continue strip out. So we cut them and there's only a couple of strands of rebar in it, so
Josh and AJ know the spandrels have to go. But when asked what exactly they are...
My understanding of a spandrel is a Russian anti-tank missile, and that's all I really know. But now I don't know, maybe for a bit of bracing, help with shade in that. Well, we knew you were going to ask this question, mate, and we thought, we better Google. But Google obviously just told us that it was a Russian anti-tank missile, mate, so that's all we know. Doesn't look like one, but hey, you never know. But we'll get into it at pace.
AJ might be working at pace, but no one else is.
We've got to stay well out of the building while AJ's ripping stuff down, because if he does pull the building with him, we don't want to be in it. I don't really want to be falling that far.
AJ's completed his mission and Josh is happy with his handiwork.
It went pretty well. I was just a bit concerned because we've knocked the one off the top over there and it was really loose. Rather take it off by yourself rather than letting it fall off later on.
At pace, just like we were playing, mate. You know, those Russian anti-tank missiles didn't explode, so went a treat, absolute treat. Save us houses, mate. Depending on what Trump does, depending on how safe it's going to be,
Next, a problem. How to rip up a floor that can't be reached from the ground.
We're going to crane our 3.5 tonner up on the roof, full noise, and then the attachment's going to go up as well.
Crane here, it's going to quickly lift up our 3.5 tonner and start making some mess. Should be good.
So you hook it up to the boom and into the cab, or?
Hook it up to the cab, mate, become a fucking convertible in no time at all, mate. Hook it up to the boom here, obviously, lifting points here, and to the blade. Obviously, keep it steady as we lift. 3-tonner on the roof when we start it up. It's gonna just rub all the shit out of this building. It's gonna operate at pace. It's gonna be unreal up there, mate. Because deadline is coming. Now we can do some work. That thing's just gonna rip everything apart.
Digger's up there now, so we can start smashing the building down. We've got about 3.5 weeks to get this down.
The trouble is, smashing noises are affecting the neighbouring student radio station.
I'm using a different microphone. I'm wondering if my microphone's better than yours, John, going forward.
I'm curious as to something I mentioned the other day.
I can feel the ground move.
Which
what are you talking
was...
about?
With their afternoon drive show ruined, they've had enough.
5 minutes. You're going to come out and fight like about 2.5 minutes, 4 minutes, just a minute before it. Tell it we'll stop right away. Wait, very all good. They got the drive show on and they want us to be quiet, so I suppose better do it, eh? Save all complaints. You know, it is, eh? We do it for the people, mate. We're here for the people.
Demolition's on temporary hold, and rock fan AJ has been invited to help host the show. Back at Grays Avenue, the old government housing block of flats is being taken apart piece by piece. Ward has brought in engineer Joe Farr to draw up demolition plans.
So we've got Joe from Sigma Engineering, so he's over from America. We're just going through a few different methodologies and whatnot. Obviously, as we get closer to the end of the building, we're going to have to start taking more precautions.
The building actually gets stronger as we move the weight from the top to the bottom. So if you keep this spine intact down here in the middle of the building, we work top down. As we get into those last few bays, we can kind of stair step that. And give us a nice strong back in this direction, and we use the shear wall at the other end to keep it strong side to side. I think we're going to get really good progress.
Yeah, because we may need to take out a couple of bays when we do, just to get that back staircase. So that's probably the only time that it may get a little bit wobbly.
Yep.
Tyler's jumped on the 480 and he's loving that. He's loving the attention. He's just basically clearing some material back and getting the uglies ready to send over. Oi, oi, dickhead. Don't push them over the back. You don't know what's going in through the fence. Yeah, basically we're just getting ready to set up pad. So Tyler's going to carry on demolishing the lower structure and smashing the basement in.
Work's starting at the top and it's going to be tricky. So the Demolition Brains Trust is coming up with a master plan.
What's interesting about this building is it's conventionally reinforced, so it's a pretty strong building. It's of an era of good conventional construction. So when we bring these structures down, it's important to keep that balance between width, length, and height balanced out. That's why when we talked about the last 4 steps of sequence, we're talking about removing weight from the top of the building and stair-stepping the building down to keep the center of gravity low. Just like a tree, we can trim the top of a tree, but the trunk remains strong. That's what we're going to do with this building. You're going to be sitting here with your machine. We're going to work in a stair-step method here to keep this. And if you think about it, we're creating basically that pyramid shape for strength, right?
Yep.
And we'll just keep working that way, and essentially we'll work our way up so that we keep working the pyramid this way. And as soon as we can get you so that you have access, then we start bringing this down. So now it's like we're trimming the top of that nice strong tree, bring this thing down, and we bring it down kind of effectively like that, always keeping the structure balanced.
It hadn't been deemed safe for Dalton to work on the lower part. Now, with a bit of expert advice, he can go ahead full steam. Progress is going well at the Auckland University Demolition, and AJ's in good spirits.
All the height's been taken out of it, all the columns and beams, and the roof's been taken off. Now we just got to get rid of the floors, dropped down to the next floor, and then do another separation, then down onto the bottom floor, separate that before we can pull it over with the 20.
But their smooth run is about to hit a rough patch.
Oh, fuck yeah. Breaker hose, mate, it's fucked. Just got snagged on a bit of steel. Not bad, not bad. Hey, I just fucking blew a breaker hose at the uni. on that 3.5 tonner ladder boat. Unreal. Clean up, I suppose, and wait for the hose doctor to come fix that. That place just came down that place. Probably the second to the last one, but yeah, no, you can pretty much say Shadow Bars is fucked.
Josh is worried about breakdowns affecting progress as the demolition deadline looms.
There's a very small time frame that we've got at the moment, so we just got to get it done. Cables just tend to run all over the place. They'll just decide to grab a cable from one place. Oh yeah, we'll just tap into this one, bring it over here. That'll be fine. But they don't think about the guys that they have to pull it down afterwards.
The building's too large and unstable to pull down with a high reach, so the team have been chipping away at it with diggers on the roof. Then, AJ will be able to get in with a much larger machine.
Today I'm just pulverising all the columns that they've been throwing down over the last couple of days and building up a pad so that AJ has more reach tomorrow when he puts the building down.
As Quaylen works, he discovers something unfortunate.
I'd just like to mention that this is actually the handiwork of AJ and not me. It's going to be an expensive fix, but I'm glad I didn't have to explain it to the boss.
Yeah, I'm professional, but like I don't have the best temper really. You know, I jump in it, bit of shaking around, door flings open, and I rip it off on a fucking bin. Exactly what happened.
Bad timing for AJ. Peter's decided to check on the boys' progress.
My hydraulic pump was heating up too much, mate, so I thought I'd better increase the airflow.
Yeah, I don't really need it like that, though. That's expensive. Anything else I need to look at before it's covered?
After paying all of Dalton's repair bills, Peter's not too fussed.
Oh, he just knows, eh? You know, fucking I learned off his son, really. So, yeah. Monkey see, monkey do.
Next step, AJ starts serious demolition on the main building. At Grays Avenue, Ward have got the plans back from the demolition engineer, and the team are working through the difficulties and dangers of the job.
So what I need to do is sort of work out, because how far can you get up the side here?
Quite far up. Like it'll be quite steep by the time we get to that back corner, but it'll be steep, and then it'll be gone. It'll be like,
yeah,
it'll be steep for a bit and then it'll be gone.
Well,
and whether it gets wobbly and falls over the back, it doesn't matter. It's only going to fall down.
It ain't going to go, because it ain't going to do a tree on us.
No.
Dalton has been courting the building, an unofficial term he picked up from an old engineer. A high reach demolishes the building bay by bay in sections, taking one level of bays from the top to the ground before moving on to the next one. As he gets closer to the end of the building, he creates step-like structures so the lower bays support the taller sections next to them.
We're quite lucky that we've got a machine that the cab actually elevates, so that'll give us another sort of couple of metres at the top of the building where we can see and whatnot. But when we start terracing the floors down, you've got to look pretty much past that floor, so you got to look through it. So if you've got stuff up here, if you can't see it, you can't get it. So worst case scenario, we work off a little TV screen in the cab, but that's horrible because you've got like nearly a second delay on the camera, and by the time you move that arm, it's already too far past, and it's not very nice working it like that.
Unfortunately for Richie, not all of the machines are as exciting as the specialised high reach.
Moving this slow piece of shit. For dust suppression for the high reach. So I've got to get it near where Dalton is, set it up, it catches dust, or tries to catch dust about halfway. So we can, Dalton's high reach will get the top, this will catch halfway, then we've got two dust blasters, one on the footpath and then one in the car park. Nice if it had like, I don't know, half the speed again. I'd be up there and set up for Dalton. But
the snail-paced machine will have to hurry so it doesn't miss the final stage of the demolition. The crane's back at the Auckland University demolition, ready to lift the diggers off the roof. Quaylen's finished laying the rubble pad, and the team's ready to unleash the AJ Beast in the 20-tonner.
We've got the crane here, about to lift the mini diggers off the roof so we can start the demolition. Pretty eager to crack into the hard demo, you know. We've sort of just been mucking around and doing separations and whatnot, but pretty exciting today.
We've got to pull this half down for the new gymnasium being built at the uni here. Just these couple floors off, and just leave the ground level on, the basement roof up intact while the boys still remove the asbestos and yeah, just clean up and start loading shit out.
AJ hasn't been working long before they encounter yet another problem.
Hello. Let's give Mark a call, bro. Tell him to come over.
What can I do for you? 2 calls. It must be important.
Yeah, can you come over here, please?
Yep, right now. Coming now.
Sweet. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, bye. Oh, we found a hidden underground pit. Problem is, we know a cable's coming from around over here. It's meant to come around through here and down the ramp. Well, we've just discovered this, and sometimes people like to put cables in random places, so we just got to make sure it's not in there. So we'll call the authorities and get them in to check it out.
I was checking over there before, mate, started sinking a bit, eh? So it's all a bit fuck off, eh? Something's under there. I know there's rumour is there might be a, what was that, 11 kVA power cable running through here somewhere. So I don't know if it's in that pit or not, mate.
It turns out the hole is there for another reason.
It wasn't on the plans, but we knew the cable run roughly around where it was. We got the main contractor to come out, have a look. It's just a drainage pit. So decided to cover it up and not put it in the plans. But she's all good now, we're all sorted, we can carry on.
The building's looking a bit smaller. However, there's still plenty of work to do.
Clipping columns and just slowly lowering the floor down, pulled over the lift shaft. Now we've just got a massive clean-up job, get shit ready for trucks, eh? Yeah, no, we had some complaints about dust from a couple of boomers in the university. They're too used to sitting in classrooms and that. Like, we're using all the available resources we can to try and stop the dust. They're not happy, but they don't work in the trade, so I don't really know. We've stopped, we flooded the floors with water before we carried on, you know. If they just let us do it, it took me half an hour to do all that, opposed to the hour and a half we had to stop and wait while they were whinging and moaning, you know. Like, it just gets done quicker if they just stop whinging for a bit. But hey, it is what it is. They got to try and keep everyone happy, but you can't.
And he's grateful to the neighbouring radio station for being good sports.
The lovely lads and lasses at BFM have actually asked me for an interview, eh? So thought I'd oblige them. Might bring a bigger audience, you never know, eh? Might end up on the show. So yeah, we'll see how it all goes, eh?
They were just taking the bridge down between the old Shadows building and our spot. It was quite loud. It sounded like the world was coming to an end, so I thought we'd go out and have a look at what was going on. I just asked if you could just be quiet in a minute's time, be quiet for 10 minutes, we've got a guy playing acoustic guitar. And it turns out they're just humans, so they were quite abiding. My first attempt was to dangle a couple of beers in front of them, but they weren't having it, just to break the ice. Do you need me to go ask them to be quiet again? Or?
Now, those of you that have been listening to BFM over the past few months, you'd know that there's been some demolition, serious demolition going on around us. We've managed to rustle up AJ.
We've got the man himself, the culprit.
Yeah, he's just been doing some demo at pace.
Hey, everyone's here if you want to come in and yell at him.
Mate, shut up!
Mate, I'm open to calls, mate. Open to calls, eh?
Do you ever get random abuse from people you're just trying to do your job?
Oh, yeah. But it doesn't last too long, eh?
Can't hear them?
Nah, I choose not to hear them, mate.
Despite AJ making a racket and not liking their music, the students show there are no hard feelings.
It's from us to you, mate. Oh, cheers, mate.
Other radio stations are shit.
They are shit. You guys give me free shit. Yeah. Got any free tickets or anything? No.
And maybe he's even changed his music taste.
There you go. At pace.
Every day, around the country, hundreds of buildings are being demolished. We get behind the barriers, give you the real story behind bringing things down.
It's gonna be unreal, mate.
Too easy. On fire. I like it when a plan goes well.
That was awesome!
The demo teams face daily dangers and challenges. Some sites are tricky.
Not everything goes to plan.
Others frustrating.
This is going to give us a bit of a headache. Let the old heart go into the mouth.
How they face those challenges is coming to you on Demolition NZ.
I'm pumped, mate. I'm actually pumped, eh?
In this episode, a church down, but its windows are saved.
Patience is a virtue rewarded by intact windows.
Hiccups with the high reach.
There it is, yeah, the squeak's back.
And job done, a demolition tradition. In South Dunedin, the 130-year-old St James Presbyterian Church has reached the end of its lifespan. The earthquake risk makes it too dangerous to use and too expensive to fix. Local demolition expert Steve Ross has been called in to bring it down.
We're just going to take this wee front piece down, and then we're going to take the digger right around the back. We're going to pull the back down, then we're going to come into the church from the back.
Because of the age of the building, archaeologist Russell Cook is there to document the demolition.
Specifically, I'm looking for any structural features that weren't visible when we came and recorded the church previously. Because it is such a large structure, parts of it obviously won't be easily accessible, like the roof spacing. If we can't keep the building, at least we can keep a record of what it was. Sometimes buildings like this are not safe to be standing anymore, so it becomes unfortunately necessary.
Congregation member Keith Pheasant was part of the committee that decided to demolish the church. He's sad to see it go.
Over 100 years old. It's very earthquake prone, and the parish have decided the best option is to demolish it, and they wish to build a smaller chapel on the side here.
He's happy they've saved something from the historic building.
Those stained glass windows are a memorial from way back, and they'll be incorporated in the new chapel.
The church's stained glass windows are treasures made by a highly regarded English company called White Friars. They were salvaged before demolition began.
A lot of stained glass, that's sort of okay. You know, it looks good, looks great from a distance. There's very little stained glass that is of this quality and will reward close examination as this one does. This is really exceptionally good work. These are from the early 20th century. Exquisite work, beautiful square faces, fantastic detailed painting. The closer you observe these windows, the more you appreciate the incredible fine brushwork and skill. We've got a situation where you've got irreplaceable glass of, in its day, the highest quality in the world, and you cannot replace it because the craftsmen who made it don't exist. So the trick is with these is to very carefully chisel away all the material around the top of the window. We cut very deep in there so that we can ease the window out and lift the top section off onto a catch frame. So it goes into a little catch crate. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful.
Success, eh?
That is exactly the result we would like. So it's always a delicate thing, and patience is a virtue rewarded by intact windows. The glass is made from gold pink glass, which is essentially made by getting a pot of molten clear glass, throwing a sovereign into it. The colloidal gold forms particles that absorb every colour of light except for pink and purple, and you get these beautiful pink and purple colours that you see in here.
The windows have come out without a hitch, and now Steve can only hope the demolition goes as smoothly. Dalton Ward's removing the final bays of the multi-storey apartment building at Grays Avenue. And some high-reach hiccups are putting him in a foul mood.
Fuck! Fuck this digger!
Dalton calls base to get a few things off his chest.
And it leaks, and the fucking window wipers squeak when it goes, back and forth. I wouldn't have to replace the wiper blades every hour because the window's so smashed and it just cuts them to fucking shreds. There it is there, the squeak's back, and then I turn it off because it drives me nuts, and then it'll get wet. The window will get wet, mark my words.
Dalton's day only gets worse when Richie gives him some bad news.
Lots of it. Okay, fuck. We're blowing one of the main lines that runs into the pump. So it's pretty much dumped all its oil. Now we've got to replace the line, pretty much fill it entirely back up of oil. So close to the end, it's a bit of a bugger. Once you get the top off, all the excitement's sort of gone, and now you just want to race to get it finished so you can get on to the next one. We're at 5 stories, so another couple of stories and then we'll leave it for the 50. We're actually ahead of schedule on this project, but we're behind on another, so we need to get on to the next project, which is down the road.
Dalton's brother Tyler was going to have a go on the high reach, but that's on hold because of the breakdown.
Unfortunately, the digger's broken down right in the centre of the site, and we can't move it because it's leaking oil too badly. So we're pretty much at a standstill, which is a bit of a bugger, but you get that on the big jobs.
With repairs completed by the mechanic, Richard and Tyler get to topping up the oil.
We've still got hydraulic in the rams because they're still up, so we need to leave a bit of room in it, so when we tuck it away for tonight or at the end of the day, we don't overflow the tank.
I want to quickly have a go before Dalton comes back to site. So this is normally the theme of any digger. If you want to have a turn, you've got to jump in it while Dalton's away.
Moment of truth.
Well, this is like the king of the castle, you see. This is the big dog.
They've got the digger going again, and Richie calls Dalton back before Tyler has a chance to do too much damage.
Yeah, mate, you're up and running. We've started it. Tyler's in it. He's just going to put the arm back up because it crept off the building. Okay, all good.
Dalton's on his way back to the site to relieve Tyler, and with any luck, he'll give his younger brother a bit more time in the cab. At the Dunedin Presbyterian Church, Steve Ross is making fast progress through the back of the 130-year-old building, but some steel reinforcements are proving difficult.
Yeah, what we've got to do is, because it's all tied together with all these steel bars in there, we've got to disconnect all those bars so that we don't pull everything out at once. So we've got to slowly move our way in, try and get the roof down. If we pull it down, it pushes the walls out.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm always sort of trying to break them out upwards, or break out the stuff in between first, you know, and then pull it out.
Yeah.
Well, we just don't want the walls to fall outwards, that's all. But because the steel work's been put in there, the two end walls are all tied together.
While Steve investigates, archaeologist Russell looks around the previously inaccessible roof space.
As the roof is opened up like this, we can actually see what parts of the church were just decorative and how much of it was actually structural. As you can see, most of this was actually a pretty integral part of keeping the church together.
The alterations are interesting for Russell. For Steve, they're just an extra headache.
Normally, you know, like I'm trying to get that middle section out, and then, you know, you can lift all the beams up, and then you just slowly break the timber away, and then we'll just push the walls in, you know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that now.
No.
So what we've got to do is we've got to try and get all the timber off for a start. So that takes a lot of the weight off. Get all those tiles off. Tiles are a lot heavier than you think.
To lighten the load on the building, Steve's asked Mike to bring down a special tool for the job.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually seen one of these before. I feel like it's like part hammer, part can opener.
Yeah. Got to try and take it apart slowly, otherwise all the brickwork will just come out and it'll just fall out, so got to be nice and gentle.
With the added complications, it's good to have Mike as an extra pair of eyes.
It's just hitting the steel framing, you can start to see the whole building shake a wee bit, so we're just going to go around the back and take the rest of that side off so we can push that wall in so it's not going to fall out.
I mean, the church is from 1890, so when you go peeling the roof open, you don't expect to see a steel A-frame holding it together. So that must have been a later addition in the 90s, and I'm kind of curious as to how they actually got it up in there because the roof looked like it was original. So that would have been fun to see them build it, but now it's holding everything together. So he can't bring anything down without risk of it pulling pieces out that he doesn't want to come down at the right time.
When Steve takes the roof off, all will be revealed. At Gray's Avenue, Dalton's learning how to share his big boy's toys with his younger brother.
Okay, just run it on 3/4 revs, keep your door closed, remember all your cycles, don't get too far out over reach, and I'll just be standing there on the radio, yarning away. But basically just keep eating through that floor, be careful of your hoses. Just remember all the shit that you went through the other day on it. And just take it nice and slowly. Cool. So Tyler's having a go on the high reach. So he's had a little tutu on some real lower stuff and got the basic controls. So it's the first time he's done a bit of demolition with it. So I've been letting him put the arm up and down and move it around on site. Yeah, pull it in, pull it in. Yeah, pull it over. Pull, 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 pull. Good man. Over, come towards me, come towards your right, go to your right, go to your right. Too far. Don't reach over, you'll tip over. Come forward, come back, come back, come back, come back. Yeah, come down there. Here we're going. Ooh, 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 ooh. He's violent. He's got to get on, work on being smooth. It's all about figuring out how the building comes down, and he's not paying attention to how the rebars are connected and shit. I can see already. You got to learn the building before you try and do shit. There's no point trying to copy how someone else does it when you're trying to learn. You got to figure it out. Figure out how it's all tied together. But the main concern is of knowing that it will pull away or it won't pull away, or it's going to sit up there or it's going to come down at a hell of a rate of knots. It's trying to figure out all these characters about the building and how it's going to react. Not that section, go back to the back wall. As you get down lower to it, it actually gets harder with the machine. These machines are designed to reach up, but obviously when you're learning, it's a lot easier to work lower. You see the tracks moving off the ground quite a bit, and that's just because he's got so much weight forward on that machine. So when you're working up high, all your weight's coming back down and it's sitting in the middle. When you're working forward, you're pretty much working on your front toes. So it becomes quite sort of unstable. And it's also quite hard to get used to working on an angle with the tilt cab. You work a digger level and you sit level in your cab, but then when you go and put that cab on a 45, you feel like your whole digger's on a 45. And when you're looking up at something that's, say, that's like 20-something metres away from you, it can be quite sort of eerie feeling, and you lose the sort of sense of what the balance is of the machine. He's going good, he's a bit rough, but I'm very rough, so. To train someone new on one of these machines is, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of money, for one. I could probably list like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of different shit that I would never break on a normal machine that I've broken on one of these. And you learn from that every time you break it.
Harder than it looks, that's for sure.
Okay.
What I wanted to do, I couldn't quite control well enough to get it done, and obviously there's the fear of the thing. It's quite scary. You feel like you're going to tip over backwards the whole time. And pleased that I got to have a go on it. I mean, I've watched it for the past 3-4 weeks, and Dalton obviously makes it look easy, and it's good to hop in and understand how clever he is really on it. So, but don't tell him that. Make his head not fit in his hard hat. So. Things like that, that's just crazy.
Now Tyler's had his turn. Dalton's speeding through the last of the job as he and the high reach are on a tight deadline. In Dunedin, Steve's peeled the roof off the old church to lighten the load on the building, which they've found has extra unexpected reinforcing.
Well, we can see what the problem is.
Oh, I see. That steel actually goes all the way to the ground.
The church is full of surprises. The reinforcing has got them all scratching their heads.
You know, in the 90s, it was also raised the concern that this was probably not structurally sound in the case of an earthquake. So they, as we see, they did some strengthening works to it, putting this steel framing through the ceiling. And then they tied in these other steel poles and bolted them into these abutments that you can see
on the exterior, but they don't quite go to the foundation, so they're hovering a bit.
We've got to get those bricks away from the steelwork, and then we'll have a look at maybe trying to get the rest of the timber out. And yeah, we've got more room on this side than we got on that side. We've only got a couple of metres on that side.
Although the church is proving stronger than anticipated, its newly discovered resilience won't save it.
We didn't know it had all this extra earthquake strengthening in it. Yeah, just enough to make it difficult to knock the building over, but not quite enough to save it.
The new game plan means munching off the steel reinforcements before bringing it down. And the digger makes quick work of what's left of it.
Oh. Finally getting that steel frame inside the building as opposed to falling somewhere they don't want it. There we go.
The building didn't come down according to plan.
We had to get the bricks down so that it wouldn't fall on that building, but the steel didn't go all the way to the ground. So it came in, so we lost a wee bit of fence there, but that's the least of our worries, really. That was the only way we could get the steel out. Like, we broke away the two other ends and just had to pull the other one in, so can't do much about it. Not everything goes to plan.
It's sad to think like this church stood for 130 years. It's gone. I mean, it needed to, and better things looking forward for the church in the future, but it's still sad when something like that has to go eventually.
Now the church is down, the South Dunedin community can look forward to a brand new building fitted with the precious old stained glass windows. First, there's some tidying up and a bit of fence repair to do. At Grays Avenue, the building's down and the team sharing a small reward.
Fuck yeah, what did this cost? 36 bucks. Fuck yeah. Oh yeah. So a bit of a tradition of mine, whenever we finish a big job, we always end it with a cigar. Building's down, digger's still going. We're bloody good actually. We're better than good. So yeah, bloody marvellous. I was worried that I lit the wrong end. Someone like just sitting at home were like, fuck, that's the wrong end. It's had some challenges. Lift shaft, one of them, coming through all the bays up into the last 6 bays. That was all pretty simple stuff, but still, nonetheless, it's like a lot of concentration driving the machine, and you go home each night absolutely wrecked. So pretty happy to park her up, as much as it is quite a rush driving it. We're ahead of schedule. Yeah, it's pretty unheard of really, to be 4 weeks ahead of schedule. Like I said, we're ahead here, we're behind somewhere else, so that's why there was a bit of an urgency to get it nailed so I can head back and go and sort out some other problems. So we'll leave it up into capable hands of Richie and Tyler to chew the last of it down and pretty much start getting ready for the loadout.
Dalton lights up with praise for his brother Tyler.
He's pretty hopeless. Been trying to get rid of him for a while. It's so hard to sack people these days, so it'll catch him out doing something sooner or later and be able to move him on. So.
Tyler has some opinions of his own about working with Dalton.
It's like working with a stubbed toe. It's painful, it hurts, but you can work. So this side's good, yeah, because I haven't done big building demolition. I've kind of just done doses here and there. So it was good to see it start to finish. But it's a steep learning curve. It's mainly screamed at. Yeah, you don't get told when you're doing it right. You just get screamed at when you're doing it wrong.
Luckily, Tyler will get a bit of a break from Dalton while he and Richie clean the site. Over the series, we've brought you the inside stories of demolition. showing you what happens behind the barriers.
That's what I had in mind, right? Get her off, man.
You've met the characters from around the country, seen their gadgets and learnt what makes their day.
Perfect.
It's been fun, dramatic. The jobs keep on coming, and there'll always be more demolition in NZ.
More than 6,000 buildings were badly damaged in Christchurch's February the 22nd earthquake. Very few were saved, most had to be wrecked. The Garden City became a city of destruction, implosion and demolition. Demolition crews from round the country arrived to start what was a massive job, a job that's still continuing. Each demolition was a little bit different. This is the story of some of the most challenging ones and the demolition teams that took on the challenge. Peter Ward and his team from Ward Demolition are down from Auckland. The massive job of getting rid of unwanted buildings has started.
Everybody forgets about the real basic rule of demolition, and that's the law of gravity.
Almost 1,300 buildings are demolished in the central city. At one stage, more than 4 a day are bowled over. An average demolition takes 37 days. Some are much quicker. One of Peter Ward's team's biggest jobs is demolishing the Christchurch Convention Centre. Built on what was once swampland, the centre's in one of the most badly damaged parts of the central city. Digger drivers Steve McGee and Roy Brown will use high-reach diggers to take the building apart.
So who will be the better digger driver out of both of you?
Depends on what sort of job it is.
Yeah. A lot of it's got to do with trust more than anything else. Especially when you're doing things like that, you've got to trust each other.
Among the crew is 17-year-old son Dalton, who Peter is training.
Youngest high-reach driver in the world, just putting it out there. Youngest in the world.
But, like any father-son relationship, theirs has its moments.
Hey! Get this down. Clown. Out.
It's a big job taking down the 2-storey concrete slab building, and Peter and his team are working to a tight deadline.
Demolition or deconstruction is not just bash and smash all that stuff, is it?
Not if you want to try and make some money out of it. You've got to be salvaging a bit of stuff, you've got to go the extra mile, you've got to separate the rubbish out. I mean, the tip fees down here are 120 a tonne.
But it's safety first before any major demolition can begin. The homeless are sleeping wherever they can, and a building like the convention centre provides perfect shelter. Peter checks inside for any unwanted guests.
There's all sorts of weird shit can happen when you're doing stuff like this. You just got to cater for the weirdos. Heaven forbid we knock this over and some guy got on the piss last night and curled up in the corner happily asleep, and suddenly somebody's crunching the building down around him.
The all clear given, work can begin. But tension's rising at the site, and a bit of gear misbehaves.
Get the crescent! Crescent! The crescent in the side!
One of the diggers bursts seal, spraying hydraulic oil everywhere.
No, I need glasses when you do that. You don't tighten those up without shades on. You got to get into a good skills and good habit.
No harm done, the digger's back in action.
A little splatter of oil, that's all right. Trouble is, I got to wash my own clothes down there. That really sucks.
The digger repaired, it's back to business, and some of it can be a bit tricky. The Convention Centre's close neighbour is Christchurch's National Archives building. Among its treasures are police and court records, plus irreplaceable old film and photographs.
Well, the archives are owned by the government or the council?
Council's archives.
Oh, okay, so this is government ones?
Police, courts,
yeah.
You name it, we've got it.
Oh, so you got the police stuff in here too?
After about 10 years.
Oh, okay. So the old criminals? Yeah.
Manager Chris Adam is understandably nervous about the wrecking going on next door.
Just a little bit nerve-wracking, particularly when we get nearer the roof. But we're so, I think we're so used to demolition here since March last year that we're kind of a bit more relaxed about it than we would have been 2 years ago.
He needn't have worried. Everything's going like a military operation.
That's not bad, actually. Give it a good clean up, hardly even know we've been here.
Apart from there's a whole building missing.
I know, but that's the magic of it.
Peter's satisfied with a good, safe wrecking.
Give it about a week or so, you'll never even see that. So, you know, all gone. And I give it a wash. Just sweep it into a heap and use a shovel, otherwise you're going to be brooming for hours.
It was a good challenge for the team and Dalton, who's had a fair bit to deal with since arriving in Christchurch. A big part of the job is recycling, and timber, metal and concrete are all separated before they're hauled away. Some of it can be used again, and the engineer they're working with is keen on some metal poles holding up the roof.
What's the plan for the day, Woody? Get those 6 poles out. Leave the middle one and then just take those 1, 2, 3 out on either side. The engineer reckons it's all going to be all right, so we'll just cut the tops and then lower them down with a digger. Yeah, well, he wants to salvage those poles out, so he wants to rebuild them into a new, quite a fancy house. So I mean, when you look at them and you look at with the holes and everything, they'd cost a fortune to build.
The steel truss mullions which are on the front, and my house needs to be rebuilt, and I thought it might be a nice opportunity to try and tie them into an interesting design.
It's a delicate operation to avoid the roof collapsing, but ends in success. Peter and son Dalton have been in their element.
Like the wife said, he didn't really want to do anything else. He wanted to drive diggers from an early age. He was a bit of a Bart Simpson at school, so I think the teachers were happy that we took him out of school.
Dalton's proud of his role. Long hours, not a problem.
Oh, yeah, fairly happy. Yeah, we've got quite a bit down. I mean, youngest in the world, mate, number one.
The job's winding up, with what's left of the convention centre lying in dusty heaps on the ground. About 2,000 tonnes of the concrete is being recycled every day. The rubble's fed through a machine called a track-mounted recycling crusher. The concrete's crushed and then fed under a powerful magnet which collects the steel. The steel is melted down and recycled, while the crushed concrete is reused in roading projects and the like. The daily grind is only interrupted with the arrival of admin worker Abby Sheard. She's come to remind the boys that it's important to weigh the recycled concrete properly.
We've just sold some off to a different company, so yeah, we've just got to make sure that they're recording the weights. Yeah, everything that we can sort of recycle, we recycle.
The convention centre came down in just 6 weeks, a relatively straightforward job. But across town, Peter and his team face a bigger challenge. The Park Terrace apartments, 6 8-storey buildings, which will need a different approach and different techniques. And another team are getting ready for the country's first implosion. Demolition company boss Peter Ward is back on the job, this time in another part of town.
You'll get somebody this morning clean it up? Sweet.
His crew are now working on the strip out and demolition of some high-rise apartment blocks the authorities have declared unsafe.
Not a bad shot, eh, Joe? Sitting back and admiring the scenery. Not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all.
The land is unstable around the Park Terrace tower blocks, and just across Hagley Park, it's not all plain sailing at the Heatherley complex either. More than 300 people once lived in the upmarket Park Terrace apartments. They're abandoned and dangerous, the land underneath unstable.
I mean, the ground's shot in Christchurch, so I mean, basically just driving the truck down the road, but he makes the ground move, so that thing swinging around and doing what we've got to do through here is going to be bloody hard on them.
What could happen? What could go wrong?
Oh,
pretty good.
Basically, it's noise and the vibrations of the neighbours.
He goes on the PR offensive, knowing it'll be a shaky old time for neighbours. Peter's crew gets busy stripping out the 6 separate apartment blocks on the site. It's a big job and extra staff have been brought in to help.
As my friend says, we are purveyors of fine destruction. One rule of thumb with this caper is you do not want to get smacked in the head.
Whoops, that's easier said than done. Salvaging is where the demolition companies can make their money.
We've got the crew just doing the final strip out of this entire floor, so it's scrap steel, timber, jib, general rubbish, and ready for a load out. So, you know, the nature of it is you try to recycle, use whatever's available if you can. To ship as much as you can out to other places. They sell stuff to local contractors, ship stuff to Auckland for reuse. Hello. Action. Go for it. Give it the boot, mate. Hey.
You still got the hands on, don't you, Woody?
Oh, you get fat and lazy otherwise. So you really got to watch that.
The strip out involves recovering items for insurance companies, personal effects for the owners, plus of course the all-important salvage. Peter's on the prowl.
I spoke to my sales guy in Auckland and he said if these are all come in one big pit, I think, was he selling them for about $100, 120 bucks for the whole switchboard?
Just as the strip out finishes, another quake's weakened 2 of the apartment blocks, and the authorities order their immediate demolition.
What's the urgency about bringing down this building?
This building behind us and one just around the corner, they're both very badly damaged, and we're concerned that if there's any seismic activity at all, that they could catastrophically collapse.
Peter uses long-reach diggers brought in from the United States to pick away at the top bits first. The digger then works its way down. Then, another hiccup. The ground collapses under a digger Roy Brown's driving, tipping it on its side. He was working on ground above an underground car park at the complex. Its roof gave way, a $500,000 53-ton digger out of action.
I was backing out for smoker and I started to sort of go down. Actually, it was too late for me to do anything because I just knew everything was going over with it, so I just held on.
Fortunately, Roy's fine. The only thing hurt is a bit of pride.
How's the boss and how's everyone else? Are they a little bit annoyed or what?
They want to cut my head off. I know one thing, I'm staying away from basements.
It's really just part of what happens in demolition from time to time. No one's immune from it. But
I mean, the best thing is that nobody's been hurt.
The boss, though, takes it in his stride.
Yeah, you really just got to deal with each little problem as you deal with it. If it ain't staff, it's a machine, and if it ain't a machine, it's some problem on a job site that's not going right.
The site's still vacant, but a big aged care company plans a retirement village there. As for Peter, he's got another demolition on the go that's full of surprises. Heatherley Apartments house some of Christchurch's more well-to-do elderly residents, among them the mother of the late motorcycle genius John Britton, whose company had developed the property. The 3 apartment blocks on the Riccarton site were fatally damaged. While the crews have been cleared to work in there, the buildings are potentially very dangerous. They're a similar design to the ill-fated CTV building. Outside you can see cracking, the buildings have slumped and columns weakened. But the salvaging continues and a big rescue effort is mounted for 2 very special personal items, led by engineer Luke Thompson.
We're taking a bit of a risk being in here, but it's a calculated risk. And if there's an event or anything like that, we just get out as soon as we can, down those stairs and out to the footpath.
2 highly valuable paintings sit in a 5th floor apartment more than 20 metres up the dangerously damaged building. One is a classic landscape of Lake Wakatipu by renowned 19th century artist John Gully, estimated value $500,000. Another serious quake and they could be lost forever. Luke Thompson revealed the plan, which went off like clockwork.
Wrap them up, obviously clear a bit of space, lay them down, get them boxed up, get some timber around them, and then we'll take them out onto the balcony through there and get the crane to crane them down onto the ground so we can get them away to a safe place. They're very keen to get them out and they know what we're doing, and so they're very keen to have them recovered.
Mission successful, the paintings were returned to their owners, the philanthropist Cyril Smith and his wife. After his death, she donated the Wakatipu painting to the Christchurch Art Gallery in his memory, where it's now on display. Peter Ward's team is part of the group called in to get the buildings down. His son Dalton's there, working on a digger.
No questions, please. A bit different to how I wanted to go. The machine's a bit different to what I'm used to. But all came down alright. No one got killed, so good day. Now I'm about to go and get my arse rammed by someone who's not even in management. Call it Grumpy Mel. Hope she sees this too, because she's a total.
Dalton's also part of the strip out, as the teams go through 3 separate apartment blocks. Dalton's not one to miss an opportunity.
I just got a little message for Heaney out there. Hit me up, 021. You won't put that one on there. Just cut that out.
While that part of the plan went well, others are looking a little shaky. 3 floors suddenly pancake, a high-reach digger picks away at the debris to stop further collapses.
Tried chewing it down, but the floors keep collapsing, and what we're going to left with is the perimeter frames, which are unsupported.
In the end, pretty much all that was left was an unstable wall, and when that went, it was spectacular. The end of Heatherley, once the pride of Riccarton, is now a valuable but empty plot of land on the edge of the central city. Christchurch was used to demolition. After the major February 2011 quake, more than 6,000 buildings were damaged. 1,300 had to be torn down in the central city alone. One of the most visible was the upmarket Grand Chancellor Hotel, known for its luxury accommodation and swanky ballroom. Now Christchurch's second tallest building was on a dangerous lean, a threat to nearby properties and also an underground electricity substation. But well before then, demolition work had started just around the corner from the Grand Chancellor. The September 2010 quake had badly damaged the historic Manchester Courts building.
We've been advised there's the risk of impending collapse. We haven't really got any other option. So we've been issued a warrant, we must demolish it. But if someone else wanted to take it off our hands, I'd be more than pleased. I'd love it to be saved.
Peebles faced resistance from those who believed the building should be retained. He went on the front foot, taking a camera on a tour of the damage.
If you bring your camera over, you could actually see the Port Hills through there.
Level 3 housed rooms where vulnerable children went for counselling.
It's just awful, you know, because it's all these records of not only the offenders but the victims.
Filing cabinets had tipped over, confidential records were strewn everywhere. Luckily, the quake had happened in the early hours of the morning and the rooms were empty. But sensitive files had to be carefully disposed of. Among the other businesses were a Latin dance studio and a public relations firm. Closely watched by those who wanted to save the building, Southern Demolition moved in. The boss is Alan Edge.
That was good, we'll chop in good.
Quite a smooth operator you are.
Oh, I don't know about that.
His main man, Tim Murphy.
Hoping to have another couple of floors popped out down below today.
Taking down the 8-storey building near the city centre is a challenge. Remember, this was before the big February quake, so its neighbours were undamaged shops and office blocks.
Target for getting it down, this building?
We're on our own target, yeah.
They've discovered the building's in worse condition than thought, so extra care has to be taken so the whole thing doesn't collapse. Progress is good, and the team enjoys a get-together on Friday nights.
Bit of demo feed, isn't it? Besides the sausage. Yeah.
The job's a hot potato. Besides heritage protesters, nearby businesses are watching closely, anxious the demolition will stop people coming to their shops.
The council have actually put my name in the paper as looking after the traffic management. So that's quite handy of them, really, isn't it? So if there's any complaints, I'm getting them.
But the team keeps its sense of humour.
You're going to tell me to come back down again?
Yeah, actually, I need my back scratched.
Yeah, I need my balls scratched. I didn't tell you my life story.
Cut.
And Alan Edge won't be rushed.
One men are more important than the money involved in pulling it down. So I'd rather look after them because I want them to be with me a long time.
As the job progresses, it's obvious how fragile the building is. The hammer at the end of the high-reach digger is like a hot knife through butter. It's become a spectacle, and the team must make sure everyone's out of the way.
It's always dangerous, mate. But everyone's well back.
Because the building is so unstable, different techniques have to be used.
Gas torch and seek and destroy, mate.
You have a fairly good head for heights up in this little cage. How do you feel? I'm all right.
They're working at the 5th floor, and the way the building's coming apart, it's hard to believe Manchester Court stayed up in the earthquake.
So, Alan, has it been a good day today, mate?
Yeah, it hasn't been bad, actually, for the afternoon.
Got a fair bit of movement done on the building now, eh?
Oh, yeah. No, it's about bugging me.
He was right, and the February earthquake finished the job for Southern Demolition. The Manchester Court site is now part of the East Frame, a residential and park area being developed in the central city. Its neighbour, the Grand Chancellor, was also damaged in the September shake. Workers were still repairing it when the February quake hit with such force the 26-storey building ended up on a lean of more than a metre. A vital shear wall slumped almost a metre and one supporting column half a metre. Stairs were literally tipped upside down, the mess in the kitchen was indescribable, and ceilings had slumped. Amazingly, everyone got out alive. Now the task was to shore the building up so demolition workers could take it apart safely. With the top 3 floors down, Peter Ward and his team were called in.
Yeah, just grab the keys and that, you guys got it all sorted?
Massive, massive, massive. I'm not there yet, it's not over till it's over. It's like Bathurst.
With quakes continuing, it's dangerous, but they have to start on top.
We're going to go for lifting these hopefully by 6 o'clock. So it'll be an 8 o'clock finish.
High-reach diggers continue the attack. It's a job that goes day and night. They have to be careful not to damage a neighbouring hotel, so a bit of delicacy is required. With all this hard work, Dalton's getting worried about his tummy. The whole family's in on the act. Looks like Dalton's in trouble again. Then, the final moments of what's left of the Grand Chancellor. Dalton is full of praise for the way his father got it down.
Yeah, no, he did alright. He's got a lot of experience, old man. He's pretty good on the high reaches, he taught me everything I know, so...
Why did Wardy decide that he wanted to pull it down, not let you pull it down?
Oh, I think I got here too late. Because he told me to come here, but I got here too late, so it might have been a bit crampy at that episode. It's alright. Came down nicely.
The site where the Grand Chancellor once stood now has a brand new office block called the Grand Central. Christchurch is about to be rocked again. 2 of the city's biggest buildings are about to be blown apart. It's a high risk and high return type of demolition. Careful planning is vital. And months of preparation and stripping out are needed if things are to go smoothly. A block and a half from the centre of Christchurch, workers are getting ready for the country's first ever implosion. Demolition by detonation.
So you've got to be just a little bit mental within the red zone.
How many signs are you putting up?
1 nailers, 1 series, and scaffolds. We wanted one for Camel Girls, but they wouldn't give us one.
Thousands of spectators will come to watch a charity auction held to see who blows it up. And in the end, a 6-year-old boy from Queenstown does the honours. To make sure it worked, Ceres, the lead contractor, called in one of the world's top explosives experts.
This is extremely dangerous. This is pressure sensitive. You step on that, it'll go off. That product there is very safe.
Mark Loiseau of American firm Controlled Demolition Incorporated helped demolish the remnants of the World Trade Center, the federal building Timothy McVeigh bombed in Oklahoma City, and thousands of others. The pressure had been on to implode buildings. Building owners, engineers and city officials were all keen, but for one big stumbling block. Who'd be held responsible if a demolition went wrong and the building came crashing down on its neighbours? Then there'd be real fallout. But the News Talk ZB building was a different story. Standing alone, fatally damaged and ready to bring down. Loiseau and his team did a lot of background work to ensure the implosion would be safe, quick and clean. Controlled Demolition Project Manager Tom Dowd is an expert at placing explosives.
Any explosive is a rapidly expanding solid to a gas. All of that energy seeks the area of least resistance. Once you pack your explosive in your hole, the area of least resistance becomes out the hole. It's the principle in which a bullet comes out of a gun. So what we do is we use an expanding foam that'll block that hole. It becomes almost as hard as concrete at that moment of impact. It makes our area of least resistance out to the sides, fractures the concrete instead of all the energy coming out the end of the hole.
Others are getting ready for the implosion too.
So this is our team today that are putting in the video, as you can see. I think the camera's picking up everybody.
These are geophones, and they're being installed to measure the ground vibrations and the air blast vibrations.
The opportunity to blow up the building was open to the public. Almost 500,000 people viewed a Trade Me auction. But in the end, a small boy from Queenstown was picked to do the job. He was ill, and the demolition companies who'd won the auction gave him the prize.
I know some of the folks, part of the demolition crews here, they look all tough and crusty on the outside, but really they got a heart of gold, and I think this demonstrates that.
Thousands watched the event from outside a 200-metre exclusion zone. The implosion was live streamed and went international.
All right, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
The 6,500-tonne building, weighing the same as 6 fully laden jumbo jets, was felled by just 55 kilograms of explosives. It came down in 7 seconds. The Worcester Street site is now sitting empty. Following the successful implosion of the News Talk ZB building, thoughts turned to blowing up the Christchurch police station, something the criminal fraternity had thought about for years. As aftershocks continued in Christchurch, police staff became increasingly worried about their safety, and they were moved to new premises. Blowing up the 13-storey police station was a more complex job. If it wasn't done properly, it risked crashing back onto the Christchurch City Council headquarters just across the road. Like the News Talk ZB building, implosion crews drilled and charged almost 200 holes with high explosives to bring the building down. Tom Dowd was back from the United States. He'd detonated another 9 buildings since the News Talk ZB one.
Yeah, I get to go around the world and blow up buildings. So there is a cooler aspect to it. At the end of the day, I like it to working in an ice cream parlor. You know, it's great the first week. After that, I don't feel like eating ice cream anymore.
Preparations have been going on for months before the big guns came in. Dave Leonard is the series project manager.
Landed in New Zealand in 2012 and my first job was imploding a building, which was pretty good, pretty interesting. I was hoping there was going to be more of it. That hasn't happened, so it's good to do this one now again.
First, a major strip out. Some of it needed to be boosted with a bit of heavy machinery. Reinforced netting was put up on all the walls. This was to stop nearby streets from turning into a war zone. as after the blast, airborne bits of concrete become lethal missiles. Overseas, people have been killed by these flying fragments, and so this was very important.
We need to start breaking internal walls, non-load bearing walls, core drilling columns for charges, and as you can see behind us, wrapping columns and wrapping floors to prevent the release of debris.
Controlled Demolition were getting down to business.
This structure we're taking straight to the south. So we'll detonate the southernmost row of columns on the first level first. We'll wait almost a second to shoot the column behind that. We'll come up to the second level about a second and a half later and start shooting that. Then we go up to 3, 5, 7, and 9.
A little over 24 hours to go, and then boom. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Do you get to see it?
Get to see it, of course I do.
The crowds were back on a gloomy winter's evening, but this was less of a carnival and people were kept well back. Again, tens of thousands watched the live stream as the sirens sounded just before a series of explosions. And again, a pause between the explosion and collapse. Some wondered if the implosion had misfired, as 3 stories of the Hereford Street side of the building remained. But that was part of the plan, to keep the falling rubble away from the council building behind. More than 500 metres of detonating cord and 55 kilograms of explosives reduced Christchurch's old police station to rubble in a matter of seconds. Tahu Property is now building an office block on the site. And big changes are coming up at a number of other demolition sites around the city and further north as well. With the November earthquakes, the focus moved from Christchurch further north to Kaikoura and Wellington. Many buildings in the capital city were damaged, and companies with experience in Christchurch, such as Ceres and Ward Demolition, were called in for the most serious cases. Among Ward Demolition's projects was the deconstruction of a wing of a major retirement village. It was sliding down the hill and the 40 residents evacuated.
Yeah, basically she'll come down and she'll be a pile of rubble and then she'll be a vacant site again, just like magic.
Oh, is this updated, is it? This is the updated one? Yeah, haven't seen that one. No, oh, okay, so he's let us take this corner piece out as well.
Yeah.
The work had to be done carefully and without disrupting the village's daily schedule. Son Dalton, now in his early 20s, was back, older, wiser, and with a new look and new role as project manager.
Put it frankly, I was quite a little shit back in the days. But I mean, I've sort of changed my attitude around, like I'm project managing now, so I'm really enjoying that. And that's quite a sort of different, challenging side of it. I mean, I used to really enjoy just driving a machine, but now I sort of want to get into the nitty-gritty stuff of it and learn all the other different aspects around our business, and sort of, because it is a family business, and would be quite cool to one day sort of step into the old man's footsteps, which is pretty big boots to fill, but hopefully one day I can sort of fulfill them.
Knock him off his perch.
Yeah, pretty much. Give him the sack.
I'm waiting for somebody to take my job. I'm over it. I probably don't do it very well either.
Peter's joking, of course, but it's easy to tell he's very proud of the way Dalton's grown into the job.
Thank heavens he's growing up a bit. He was a bit of a handful back when we first started out. Like most dads, I probably lost my temper and lost the plot. I went back and I actually went and apologised to my dad about probably how I was, so yeah. He thought that was funny like me.
Ward Demolition had been busy before heading down to Wellington. One of their biggest jobs was the downtown project in central Auckland. It closed after 41 years. A flash new commercial and shopping centre will go on the site. It'll be called Commercial Bay, have 39 stories and cost almost $700 million. Ward Demolition had just 6 months to take it down. Precinct Properties is behind the project. It'll be one of Auckland's tallest towers and have rail tunnels underneath. It's not all work and no play for the Ward family. One of the highlights of their summer holiday was supporting Peter as he raced his ute at Ruapuna. Also on site, filming and helping out with other jobs, is daughter and sister Bailey, proving a family that wrecks together, stays together. The Ward Demolition team was loud and proud at Ruapuna.
Some of the boys are no angels. Hell, I'm no angel, I gather that. We're knocking something down that, you know, we're generally doing it under authority, but lots of people can be very unhappy with that. So it's good to do something where you're not actually in bad press.
It wasn't just Auckland-based Ward Demolition who'd got work in Wellington after the November earthquake. Ceres, the company behind the 2 implosions in Christchurch, came north for Wellington's first big demolition, 61 Molesworth Street. They took their biggest weapon, an impressive piece of machinery known as Big Bertha. Molesworth Street started out as a straightforward job for the high reach diggers. The 8-storey building was levelled earlier this year. Another big job coming up is the demolition of the remaining stands at Christchurch's historic Lancaster Park. Ward Demolition was involved in the deconstruction of the first bit, the Hadley stand. Down south, Southern Demolition are keeping busy around the Canterbury region. One of their biggest jobs was demolishing the BNZ building in Cathedral Square, a job so tricky that one demolition company had already pulled out. It was a challenging job because the building had asbestos in the floors, so Southern Demolition set up air monitors to make sure the dangerous asbestos wouldn't get loose.
For this particular job, we've got another 5 to 6 guys on, which we've got to manage and keep an eye on. But yeah, then of course they have exclusion zones that we can't go in, so yeah, it becomes a mess.
The boys would sometimes show off their big high reach.
I went past the other day and questioned my operator why he had the boom up in there, and he had a lot of tourists wanting to take some pictures.
Jobs like these give the demolition teams a valuable experience that can be used around the world. Serious and damaging quakes are continuing in shaky old New Zealand, guaranteeing work for the country's top demolition teams. This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.